cocktails ready, ladies and gentlemen, because we're going to be starting in just a few minutes.
Looking a little ordinary? Is it lacking something awesome? Well, head out to your local liquor store and pick up something extraordinary. Grab a bottle of Old Humble Straight Whiskey or Old Humble Special Reserve. They're clean, smooth, easy drinking whiskeys that taste the way whiskey should taste. From humble beginnings to an extraordinary finish, Old Humble whiskeys are what your bar needs today. Walk tall, be awesome, and drink humble. Old Humble Straight Whiskey and Old Humble Special Reserve. Get yours today.
Ladies and gentlemen, brothers and sisters, children of all ages, I am the Old Humble Guy. I am your host, your bad influence, your spirit guide, your friendly neighborhood sin merchant. Welcome to the show tonight. Tonight's show is going to be a fun one. We're going to talk about the Mint Julep, the history of the Mint Julep, and then we're going to sprinkle in a little dash of student loan information, a history of the student loan, how it works, why it works differently than you think it works. It's going to be fun. It's going to be kind of one of those history, sciencey, wonky type of things, but that's going to be after we talk about the Mint Julep. And tonight's, it's super bright, isn't it? Let's dim this light a little bit. Is that better? There we go. Our shot for the night, our opening shot, is our Double Oak Rye. I do have a different pair of sunglasses. These are red, as you can see. Usually I have green ones. I have a different pair tonight. And the actual tinting on the glasses is different, so I can actually see a little bit better than usually. But all that said, we're at the end of August. This is the final day in the month of August, so everybody, of course, whose name shows up in chat gets added. This is your last chance to have your name added. Well, I'll have one more chance, probably tomorrow or Friday, to get your name added to the Wheel of Doom and Glory. The Wheel of Doom and Glory. What on earth, Whiskey Man, is the Wheel of Doom and Glory? Well, that's a great question. Glad you asked. And I would love to tell you. In this box right here, we will put in this box right here, what we had in this box right here was these four little sisters right here. Our straight whiskey, our special reserve, our double oak rye, and our Boomtown bourbon, a sample of our Boomtown bourbon, along with a cigar from a nationally known, respected tobacconist. This box right here, I have removed everything from the box because it is currently in process of being stripped, repainted, and sealed for one lucky winner whose name will come up on the Wheel of Doom and Glory that we spin next month. That Wheel of Doom and Glory will be spun, and the winner will have their name pulled. You have to be present to win. It will be spun in the middle of September, the week of, according to my calendar right here, it will be right about, let's see, the 15th is a Thursday. We will probably spin that wheel on the 13th, which is a Tuesday. Tuesday the 13th is very likely that is the date that I'm looking. Mark your calendars. Expect that to happen. You must be present to win. If you are not present on the stream, you will get passed over. You will have all of 2 minutes to accept your winnings. If you are not present, then you are, oh, you're dead to me. No, I'm kidding. You're not dead to me. But you can't win the prize if you're not present. That's just how these things work. Moon Frere. So cheers to all y'all. Cheers. My double oak straight rye is 95% rye. 2.5 years aged with extra oak staves in the barrel to give it the equivalent of 7 years aged. We bottle that bad boy at 90 proof. and make it right up here in Humble, Texas. And it is a delightful drink. It's nice and thick on the tongue, and it's just a pleasantly plump drink to be tasting. And I have right here in my hands notes with regards to our topics of the night, both topics, as a matter of fact. Let's talk about the mint julep, shall we? Last week we talked about the old fashioned, which was a fun drink, dates back to the early 1800s. Is really the original style of cocktail. Sugar, whiskey, bitters, water, pretty, ice, very simple, very easy to make cocktail. The mint julep is it's a variation on that. But it's born out of a different region of the country entirely. Um, it's born out of a different region of the country. Should I go ahead and start? Yeah, we're going to go ahead and start. It's born out of a different region of the country, where the old fashioned was in the northern states, Chicago, New York, um, Illinois, New York, Chicago, New York City, um, Pennsylvania, Philadelphia, the northern climes where rye whiskey was prevalent. The mint julep is a southern tradition. It is a southern drink, and it came out of a region of the country where corn was a predominant grain being grown, and corn was often used in whiskeys that were being made. It came out in the later part of the 19th century, as opposed to the earlier part of the 19th century, when corn production was increasing and growing faster and faster and faster as the Ohio River Valley was being settled and more farms were being raised up and put to the plow. More corn was being produced and more whiskey was being produced using corn. Rye was still the predominant whiskey in the country, hence the traditional old fashioned being made with rye whiskey. But have we actually gone down 2 subscribers since we started? Oh, we have, haven't we? Well, that's fine. If we hit 750 by the end of the night, by the end of this stream, if we hit 750 subscribers, I will dye my beard blue. That's what we're gonna do. If we add 4 subscribers tonight, I will dye my beard blue, and the next time you see me, I will have a blue beard. And tomorrow is my anniversary, so you could. I tried. I still haven't ruled out the possibility of shaving Mrs. Old Humble Guy's head for our 700 subscriber special, but we'll see. We'll see if that actually happens. She'll probably kill me if I get too close to her with an actual razor. So anyway, where was I when I got off track? Let's get back on track. Mint julep, a southern tradition. It is basically, well, let's get to it. Let me show you how this is made. We'll get to it. Simple ingredients: mint, ice, water, bourbon. That's it. Sugar. Mint, ice, water, sugar, bourbon. And since I have the sugar cubes, we will use the sugar cubes. Some recipes call for a simple syrup. Some call for a simple syrup to use with the sugar. Some call for other things. But it's simply a little bit of sugar, a little bit of water. You take mint leaves, like so. Most recipes I see call for between 6 and 8 mint leaves. So I've got 3 right there. They go into the cup. I'm just using a regular glass. I'm not using a julep glass. Julep cups are these little metal cups that look, they're not, where's my, they're not the same as mule glasses, which are the copper cups. They're not the same as those. Although you could use a mule cup if you wanted to. I'm choosing to use a glass cup, a glass mug, a glass here. I don't know what the hell you call it. It's a glass. I'm choosing to use a glass so y'all can see what goes into this. There's this. There is a sugar cube, just a simple regular sugar cube. Blook. And then they say about 1/4 of an ounce of water, but they also say about 1/2 ounce of simple syrup. So I'm going to go with about 1/2 ounce of water, right? Just like so, into there with the sugar cube and mint. Now what you do is you take a muddler. This is a muddler. You can use the back of a spoon, like so. You can use the back of a spoon, just smash it in there. You can use the top of the spoon and smash it down in there. I'm going to use a muddler because what this muddler is going to do, you see this end of the muddler there? It is flat and it is bumpy. Flat and bumpy, or I know they're two diametrically opposed things, but it's smashed flat so it'll conform to the bottom of the glass, but it also has ridges on it, so it's actually going to be able to smash that mint up quite well. So I'm going to go ahead and smash it down there, and what this is going to do is it's going to open up the just like so. It's going to open up the oils in the mint. And mix that in there. And basically what I'm doing right here is I'm mixing the mint and the sugar, and I am making effectively a very thin, flavorful, simple syrup. There's that. Delightful. Now, with the mint julep specifically, they tell you to add shaved ice. What the shaved ice does is the shaved ice is going to melt. It's going to add water to the whole mixture, and basically it's going to keep it cold. It's going to cool the glass, and it's going to add water, lots of water to the mix. Because basically what this is, and I'm not even being hyperbolic when I say this. Basically what this drink is it's a mint iced tea with bourbon instead of tea. That's basically, it has the same color as a mint iced tea, the same texture, very similar flavor. And the only whiskey I have is Eagle Rare, so we're going to do Eagle Rare. And it is basically a full shot of the bourbon. As I almost spill it, I almost overfilled my jigger there. Boom. And that's that. It's a simple drink, an extremely easy drink to make. Extremely simple drink, and then you just stir it in like so. I did not bother to shave more ice. Oh man, the whole room smells like mint right now. But that's it. I did not bother to shave more ice than what I absolutely needed. But the biggest problem that I have with this drink, the biggest complaint, the biggest problem that I have with a mint julep is simply that it's got grass inside this thing. I mean, look at that. It's got leaves floating inside the mint julep. Why the hell would you... cheers. Bottoms up. It is a very good drink. It is a Southern tradition. Woodford Reserve is the bourbon that is the official bourbon of the Kentucky Derby. And of course, you know, the climate down here in the South is hot. And the mint, the water, the sugar, all of that makes for a nice, refreshing summer drink that is really easy to drink. Add the bourbon, and it even makes your jokes funny and your girlfriends and spouses gorgeous after a while. This is... it's delightful. It's a very pleasant drink to drink. My biggest complaint with this, and mojitos, and any other drink that you actually put mint in, is that it's full of grass. It's full of leaves. It's full of obstacles. It's like Chex Mix. You know, it's basically Chex Mix is M&Ms with obstacles. Why the hell would you want to do that? Why would you want to put raisins and nuts and pistachios and whatever else in with your M&Ms? Just eat the M&Ms. You know what I mean? Why would you put the obstacles? The biggest complaint I have with this is that now there's variations you can do with the mint julep. The mint julep variations, you can use mint extract. You can make a minty, simple syrup. You can use lemonade instead of water. You can use any liquid that brings flavor to the party that's not water. You can use lemonade. You can use apple juice. You can use, hell, you could use orange juice if you're into that sort of thing. You could use pineapple juice. You could use... I already said apple juice. You can use watermelon juice. You can use cucumber water. You can use any kind of fluid that has flavor to it that is basically the consistency of water. It's water, it's sweet, it's got flavor of some kind of fruit, and it actually makes the mint julep better. In my personal opinion, in my personal and professional, I guess, opinion, one of the cocktails that we sell at the distillery is lemonade with peppermint and, of course, whiskey. And we call that the Colonel Angus, named after the famous war hero that injured his jaw at the Battle of Beaver Creek. He was, or Beaver Fork, the Battle of Beaver Fork. He injured his jaw. He retired, and upon retirement from the Army, when previously as Colonel Angus, he would come in the front door. He dropped his Army title and proceeded to only enter houses through the back door, introducing himself without the title as Mr. Anal Angus. He was just a right Southern gentleman who would just properly introduce himself, whether he was Colonel Angus coming in the front door or Anal Angus coming in the back door. He was the man you definitely wanted to visit with for at least several minutes before the main entree came to visit all the other folks. Indeed. So there's your mint julep. It is a Southern drink, originally a Southern drink, historically. The Southern tradition is also what it's known as. It dates back to the mid to late 1800s, right around the same time that the Old Fashioned as a cocktail was resurfacing as a favored cocktail to be had. So around the 1880s to 1890s, this was one of the cocktails that was being served that had made its way up into urban areas that brought about the folks ordering the old-fashioned cocktails. They didn't like the minty, light, sweet flavor of the mint julep, or more accurately, whiskey snobs were like, this isn't how whiskey cocktails are supposed to be had. Can I have an old-fashioned cocktail? And that's why the old-fashioned came to be, because mint juleps were being brought back to the north from the southern states post-Civil War. And simply put, as a traditional bourbon cocktail, and as a traditional bourbon cocktail from a warm southern climate, you can absolutely, when you drink this, picture yourself sitting on a front porch in the shade when it's 95 degrees out there, 85 degrees in the shade, with the fan going to keep yourself cool. It absolutely is how this drink was meant to be drank. Not so much around fireplaces, not so much around in cool, comfortable studies in the wintertime with your fireplace going and your jacket on, your smoking jacket and your cigars on. This is a summertime drink if there ever was a summertime drink. It is something to be had outdoors during your picnic, during your during the cookout, during the picnic, while you're in your garden, while you're sitting on your front patio, watching the grasshoppers play in the field and listening to the cicadas as the sun goes down. This is, my friends, the absolute Southern tradition, and it is delightful. It really is. It really is a delightful drink. And again, my only complaint that I have with the mint julep is, as you can see, it's full of mint leaves. It's full of junk. It's full of trash. Now, of course, you can solve that problem quite easily by mixing the drink here in one of these, muddling it up, and then straining it out. But the problem comes in when you add the ice with the water and the muddled leaves and sugar and water, and then you add the ice onto the ice. Cools down the leaves, cool the leaves down, opens up the pores, and lets some of that oil come out. And the oil that does come out congeals into the water, and that's where you want the leaves to be. You want the leaves to be in contact with the ice, so everything kind of solidifies in there. If you take all that stuff out, you lose some of that flavor. I don't know if I would have a problem straining this out into another glass to get the junk out of this, but As far as something you're going to have on your back patio for the first one or two drinks, drinking one or two of these, not a problem. I mean, I could even see myself mixing three or four for the first tray of drinks to go out the door. But after the first couple of rounds, I'm not making these anymore. Fuck that. You can just drink your own damn drinks. Make your own damn. After the first two, you can make your own damn mint julep. I'm just going to drink my bourbon on the rocks or neat like a grown up. So there you go. Chat has filled up. Cheers to chat. Let me pull up my chat window and acknowledge the folks over here. My roughneck team of mutant freaks who join me every night. Love you guys. And again, if we hit 750 by the end of the night, by the time I log out of this show, if we have hit 750, I will dye my beard blue. We're not doing trivia tomorrow night because it is my anniversary, and I do like to be married. I would prefer to not get divorced on account of you people and doing a YouTube show for trivia. But I will absolutely come back on Friday morning or Friday afternoon and do a live stream from the distillery and give everybody a second chance this week to get in on the Wheel of Doom and Glory, which features these four beautiful little girls right here. Our straight whiskey, special reserve, double oak rye, and Boomtown bourbon. So there you go. Mike McClune is the first one to join us in chat. Goddamn bacon. Is it Mike McClune and the goddamn bacon in chat? That is everybody, I believe. But there you go. Awesome. We have 4 in chat. So if you want to have your name added to the Wheel of Doom and Glory, whereby you will get a chance to win these beautiful little girls and these delightful little drinks right here on my roll top bar that I have behind me. I guess I should no, I'm gonna keep that brand back there. Fuck you guys. Y'all don't sponsor this show. I do. If you would like to get your name on the Wheel of Doom and Glory, that's how you do it. Just let me see your name in chat, and I will give you a call out by the end of the night, and I will write your name down on this here piece of paper right here. This piece of paper right here will get your name written on it, and that name will be transposed onto our Wheel of Doom and Glory, for which I believe we have right about 200 slices right now, or on which we have about 200 slices. So, there you go. Let's go with goddamn bacon. Bacon. Mike. Is that everybody? I haven't scrolled to the bottom yet, but I will right now. We have Easy Street with Jen in the house as well. Cheers, Jen. All right. Now, there was a bit of a mixed response to our poll when I was asking what should I do for a topic of this show. I really wanted to go to talk about the mint julep, which is, like I said, a very delightful drink. It just tends to be filled with trash, and I don't like drinking drinks that are full of lawn clippings. All right, I mean that's biggest complaint with this, full of lawn clippings. I would rather use the mint extract. The mint extract, however, is extremely potent, and you have to be extremely careful when using mint extract. Otherwise, your drink will be mint juleps, and I don't want to have a mint julep. I'd rather have a mint julep. The julep, I don't know what julep means. I looked it up. I kept trying to find out what the history and source of the word julep was. The best that I can find is that it just describes a cocktail, a minty cocktail. So you could have it, which is unusual for a mint julep to be, because that basically means a mint cocktail. But I guess you could have a lemon julep or I guess if you really wanted to have a pumpkin spice julep, you could have pumpkin spice and mint, but that sounds kind of gross. I am going to do some variations on the old fashioned in the next couple of weeks. I will be making some proprietary simple syrups that can go in old fashions. but and those will be, you know, various types of, because here's a really cool thing about simple syrups. Anything that is sugar can be melted and turned into a simple syrup. What is that on the back of this? Oh, this is my inventory report. Look at that. That's my inventory report from Specs. Um, but anything that is sugar can be boiled in water and turned into a simple syrup. So, pumpkin spice with brown sugar. You can make a pumpkin spice with brown sugar. It's the same spices that literally goes into pumpkin pie. Um, Blueberries, brownies, peanut butter cups, um, all kinds of things. And you know, brownies, obviously you're not gonna have the bread that goes in there, but the chocolate, the cocoa, all kinds of things that can be made with into simple syrups. And yeah, that's like the best, absolute best part of it. But anyway, what I was saying was the poll that I did, there was a little bit split. There was only a couple of votes that officially came in on the poll, but a bunch of people contacted me directly. So like, and they were like, I really want to talk about the Mint Julep, but also student loans. The student loan was what people voted for in the poll. So we're going to talk about the student loan stuff. It's a little bit wonky. It's a little bit. I mean, we all know what's been in the news the last week. President Biden he has ordered his Department of Education to forgive $10,000 in loans that were non-Pell Grant loans, and the Pell Grant loans forgave $20,000 for people making under, I think, $175,000. There was several stipulations, but basically, and then that's what it was. And then, of course, the regular cast of people coming out and going, oh, but what about... Look, student loans don't work the way you think they work. It's not like getting... All right, let's talk about a traditional loan. Let's talk about just a traditional loan. You go to the bank, your credit score, well, traditionally speaking, you go to the bank, you present your plan, you present your ability to repay. The banker then goes back to his committee, and then the committee takes a vote, and they decide whether or not they're going to approve your loan. They can approve your loan, traditionally speaking, they can approve your loan based on the whole tranche of loans that they do, your default risk versus their default risk. They balance all this stuff out. You might be a high risk, you might be a low risk. If you're a low default risk, then somebody who's a high default risk can get approved thanks to your low default risk, and you two go together. And you don't physically go together, obviously, but they, on their books and their mind and their risk assessment, they put them both together, because if they have too many loans that go default, the bank gets in a pickle of a problem, kids, a pickle of a problem. The first student loans were approved way back when, with Harvard approving student loans way back in the 1700s. But we're not going to go that far back. That's not the history of student loans that I'm particularly interested in. The history of student loans, the modern student loan, goes back to the 1965, with what was known as the um, it was a program in 1958, a program that was recommended by the one and only great American economist Milton Friedman, um, from the University of Chicago, recommended direct loans from the U.S. Treasury to help fund uh, college educations, and some of these were GI Bill loans, but or supported by the GI Bill, but most of these were non-GI Bill. The vast majority of them were non-GI Bill college loans for people who didn't go to the war, who were either too young when the war ended or too young, because this was 9 years after. No, 1958 was 13 years after World War II ended. 7 or so years, 1958, 54, 4 years or so after the end of the Korean War. So these were loans intended to get people into school and basically uh, upgrade the workforce. And Milton Friedman said that the benefits, basically the argument was that the benefits of an educated society outweigh the risk of the loans defaulting and the cost of the program to provide the loans to begin with. And ultimately, the notion was that you would make sure that these people, you give them loans, they would get jobs, they would get better pay, and they would pay the loans back, and it would be a net benefit for the federal government. So it started out in 1958 with direct loans, the federal government making loans to students to go to school, right? And then in 1965, the feds passed passed a law that was the Federal Family Educational Loan Act, and the Federal Family Educational Loan Act switched from direct loans to students from the federal government to guaranteed loans, which basically encouraged private banks and private entities to make the loans to students who would then pay for tuition. So it was literally a private entity, like a home mortgage, in the same way that Freddie Mac, and Fannie Mae, and Sally Mac guarantee mortgage loans. These were federally guaranteed student loans, so that when Chase or Bank of America or of course, these are banks back in 1965. So Texas Southern, Texas or Southwest Texas, Texas Southwest, Texas Commerce, uh, Bank of America, Bank United, Chase, J.P. Morgan, all these banks. They could make private loans to families. The families could then turn around and make the payment to the institution. The institution gives you the education. Then you turn around and you're on the hook for the loan. If you defaulted, that was fine. You could default; it was bad for your credit, but the money was guaranteed by the federal government. The bank got paid anyway. The bank was happy. This was the first shots fired in the boomer generation, saying, "We don't want to have to pay for our kids' education. We want to dump this obligation onto our kids." And that's only a little bit commentary, but it's also a little bit factual as well. As a generation, that's kind of what they did. But it wasn't, in their defense, it wasn't the boomers passing this legislation. It was their parents passing this legislation. So I guess it was the first shots fired in their parents' generation saying, look, we can pass this cost on to the next people. But here's a really cool thing about the Fed Guarantee Program. The Guarantee Program didn't adversely affect the budget because the guarantee of the loans, the cost of the guarantee would be decades down the road. If people defaulted and they had to cover the cost of the guarantee, that'd be decades down the road. And the net benefit was still greater than the net cost. Okay? So now let's fast forward from 1965 to 1990. 1990, Reagan and I'm sorry, this wasn't Reagan in 1990. In the 1980s, the mid 80s, Ronald Reagan and the conservative senators, not so much the House. There was a significant debate about whether or not the cost for these programs should be counted today or continue to be deferred. Because the cost of these programs were legitimately being masked because the risk of default was being kind of kicked down the road, right? So the cost of the risk of default was being kicked down the road, so they weren't actually putting it on the books today because they didn't see it as really an issue because it was tomorrow us's problem. Really and truly, it was tomorrow us's problem, and it wasn't something they would need to account. Kind of like pension costs, right? So in 1990, the budgetary omnibus bill passed under this was Clinton's administration. Was Clinton 1990 or was that Papa Bush? That was Papa Bush in 1990. Clinton didn't come around until 1992. But the cost of the subsidies was put on the current budget, and that kind of changed the nature of the guarantee program. And the guarantee program was now being accounted for today. The full subsidy cost was being accounted for today. And what that ultimately led to was in 1993, direct lending was they kind of returned to direct lending because the cost of the guarantee program was showing up on the budget. But the benefits of direct lending was greater than the cost of direct lending. So in 1993, direct lending kind of returned as a program, and they started phasing direct lending back into the student loan program from this guarantee program into direct lending. Like I said, kind of wonky. This is kind of accounting. But basically, the direct lending meant that they were getting income up front, and the benefit of direct lending far outweighed the cost of the guarantee subsidies that were from the future us being packed into today's budget. A big win, by the way, big win. It was a good policy choice and a big win for the government to be able to recognize that revenue and do that revenue now. They kind of were able to take control of the student loan program. Smart move, big win. Not a bad policy maneuver. So ultimately, what that means is we have this hybrid of direct lending and guaranteed programs kind of going forward from 1993. Fast forward into 2005, with all the direct lending that's going on from the feds, default rates on the guarantee programs are beginning to rise. Past in the turn of the new century, the default rates are beginning to rise on private loans, and these are loans that are it's money put up by the banks that's guaranteed by the feds and being repaid back to the banks. So the default rates on these loans are beginning to go up slowly but surely in the early part of the 21st century, and laws were changed in 2005 to make these loans non-dischargeable. It helps to shore up the balance sheet for banks, helps to increase the income for the banks, and it also helps to uh, uh, stave off some financial headwinds that we see coming up in the next 3 years. And what happens in the next 3 years? The entire credit market kind of collapses. In 2008, most of the financial system gets right on the brink of going tits up because of collateralized mortgages, and you can read all about it. There's a bunch of movies about it. It was a very dangerous time in the financial services industry, in the financial market. We came very, very close to having an entire, like a full-on financial system meltdown. Ultimately, what this leads to is the banks taking these loans, these direct loans, for the guaranteed loans, the student guaranteed loans, and selling them back to the Fed to shore up their balance sheet for all of their shitty loans that they made for all the other stuff. These were good loans. They were guaranteed by the Fed. The Fed said, hey, let us buy these back from you. They sold them back to the Fed. So now there's no more guaranteed loans. After 2009, there's no more guaranteed loan program. The program still exists, but there's no more guaranteed loans. And in 2009, the guaranteed loan program officially ends. And as of 2009, 2010, all of those private loans are now owned by the Fed. The federal government owns these loans. So, what is originally conceived as private loans backed by federal money, and then becomes direct federal loans, once again becomes federal loans, like fully and totally federal loans. And now this money generated by the feds gets basically transferred from the federal coffers to the state coffers. Never shows up in general circulation. So this isn't money supporting manufacturing. This isn't money supporting purchasing of goods and services or anything like that. This is, and I know that sounds like bullshit because you're going to school and you're getting a good, you're getting a service, right? But no. This isn't like Chase giving you a loan, or your local credit union using money to give you a loan to buy a car, and then there's a physical piece of metal in your driveway, and then that money, poof, going away and being forgiven. That creates inflation. Because you've taken money, you've created a thing, the thing changes hands, things change hands, and then poof, the money just disappears. You've basically given away stuff for free. This money, the student loan money, and this is where it becomes conceptual. This money is like taken from the federal government, transferred through you. You never touch this money. Goes through you and goes to the state. The state institution, which is University of Montana, University of Texas, University of Houston, University of Louisiana, whatever university it is. It goes from you to the state. This was basically federal transfers of money from the federal government to the state. And in between this federal transfer of money from the federal government to the state, there's a bank, a private institution that is collecting payments, counting the money, tracking the balance, and sending that information back to the Department of Education. And here's the really cool thing. The companies that are doing, the banks and servicing companies that are doing that tracking of information are housed in the Department of Education. They're in the Department of Education. They're literally down the hall from the people in the Department of Education. So it's the Department of Education paying a private company housed in the Department of Education to track the money that the Department of Education transferred to the state. It's complete and total self-dealing, which is why when the federal government takes their magic wand.
You didn't need the shaved ice because you already brought it.
Were you? No, I didn't need the shaved ice at all. Because when I asked if you would bring me the shaved ice, you went, okay. So I went and got it myself. It's cool. I love you. I love you.
I'm sorry. I've been sitting up waiting for you to call me and tell me to bring the shaved ice.
Well, you made it clear you didn't want to do it.
I did.
I love you.
But I'm also hacking up my gut.
Yeah, I know.
So,
She sounds gross. She sounds gross. Y'all can't hear her, but she's beautiful. She looks gorgeous, but she sounds gross.
Good night. Love you.
And again, reminder, if we hit 750 by the time I turn this stream off, this beard, next time you see me, blue. I'll turn it blue. Anyway, so when the Fed takes their magic wand and they go, Abracadabra, they're literally just taking their money that they sent to the states that you have to pay back and saying, that's cool, we're just making a direct transfer to the states. That's it. That's basically all they did. And there will be some inflationary pressure coming from it, but the net result, from what the technical gobbledygook jibber jabber shit, it looks like it's going to be pretty close to net zero. And for the vast majority of the people out there, 90% of the population, let's see, it was 40 million people out of 80% of the population, not going to affect them at all. They're not gonna make a goddamn bit of difference to like 80% of the population. But what's gonna be awesome, what this will unleash is $3.9 billion, give or take. Let's call it $4 billion. $4 billion of economic potential that's been tied up and held up by people who are just waiting to get their lives moving. They're not buying houses, they're not buying cars, they're not starting families, they're not doing anything because they're not starting businesses because they're sitting in jobs where they have to pay off a goddamn student loan, and now they can go out and start doing the things that we've been expecting them, hoping and praying that they would finally get around to doing. Net, it's probably a really good thing. The biggest drawback to this thing is it didn't go far enough. But we got time for that. In the next 2 or 3 years, whatever. It'll potentially. I don't know if it will. It might go farther. It might not. But we'll see. It's gonna make a really good difference. I think. I could be wrong. I've been wrong before. But we're seeing a lot of really good things happen in the last couple of weeks, which makes me hopeful. But we'll see. Like Ukraine started their counteroffensive, which is kind of exciting. My bourbon showed up in the distillery. We're getting stuff in barrels. We got all kinds of really cool things. I got my bar built. A guy contacted me and asked me to build a bar for him. Super duper excited about all kinds of cool stuff that's happening in the next 4 weeks in the distillery. But anyway, where are we at? 10:45. That's a good 30-minute monologue. I'm happy. I'm satisfied. Let's go to chat, shall we? We will pick up chat already in action. And like I said, we're at 7:46 right now. We started the night at 7:48. We dropped 2 for some inexplicable reason at the beginning. We were at 7:40, by the way, at the beginning of at midnight last night. We were at 7:40. We went up to 7:40. I'm calling it a win. We're at 7:46 right now. So if we end up at 7:50 before I close this stream, blue. I will dye my beard blue. No bullshit. True. 100%. And I'm still trying to figure out a way to corner her and shave her damn head for getting 700 subs. But don't tell her because she'll kill me. Anyway, all right, let's start at the very beginning, shall we? Mike McClune came in at 10:10. The Mint Julep Kentucky Derby, silly hats. Yeah, that is full 100% the ethos of the Kentucky Derby. It's big hats and mint juleps. Woodford Reserve, the official whiskey, the official bourbon of the Kentucky Derby. Mint julep is the official cocktail of the Kentucky Derby. But the Kentucky Derby is in what, Memorial Day weekend, if I'm not mistaken, which is exactly what the it's exactly the mythos of it's the culture of the mint julep. It's early summer, late spring, early summer. It's warm. You're at the horse race, the dog race, the I don't know, cockfight, whatever the fuck they do in rural South. Um, the polo match, whatever it is, it's the high society drink that you would on the front porch of the plantation, um, at the whatever, the cotillion. They would have their mint juleps and they would have their fancy schmancy drinks. Because, by the way, this is a really brisk, light, cold, sweet. It really does taste like sweet tea with bourbon. It full on tastes like it's mint, sugar, water, bourbon. That's it. That's all it is. You can throw in a couple of bitters for flavor if that's what you're down to, but that's it. Mint water, and that's it. It tastes like a mint tea with bourbon. So there you go. I did want to know how this mix was made. Yeah, and I mean, for real, it's a really simple drink to make. Super duper simple. Uh, I mean, it comes together in less than a minute. Water, sugar, mint. I did have to go to the store and get some mint because we just didn't have that laying around. But for what it's worth, if you have a little pot, a little herb pot, mint grows like crazy. Mint grows like crazy in confined spaces. In fact, I could probably take these sprigs of mint that I have, these remaining sprigs of mint. I might even be able to get them to sprout and put them into a pot. But a mint plant from Lowe's or Home Depot costs $3. Get one of those things, put them in a pot, they'll fucking grow forever. What's in a Kentucky brown? Yeah, I'm kind of curious what's in a Kentucky brown sandwich. A hot brown sandwich. What the hell is that? Kentucky hot brown is an open-faced sandwich: turkey, bacon, tomatoes, and a mornay. Holy shit, that sounds good. Turkey, bacon, tomato, and a mornay sauce. Kentucky hot brown Sammy. All right, I'm gonna search one of those sumbitches out because that sounds good. Although a bacon, lettuce, tomato sandwich sounds good right about now too. So it's a mint version of a bourbon tea, I think. Yeah, that sounds. If I think I know what a bourbon tea is, it is a mint. Yeah, you nailed it. There it is. Originated as a brown. Oh, the Brown Hotel in Louisville, Kentucky. Huh. That's why it's called a hot brown. How about that? I'll be damned. Interesting note. Could, yes, I could strain out the mint. The problem with straining out the mint is you lose the flavor. Probably the best way to go about it though is you just, when it gets down to the bottom and all you have are leaves, because they're full size leaves. This isn't going to get stuck in your teeth. It's not like shredded lettuce or anything like that. But I mean, it stays as a mass down to the bottom. So there's that. It's just gross. I don't like the presentation. That's it. Um, I don't want to salad my cocktail. I do not want to toss any salad with my cocktails. A mint infused simple syrup. Absolutely. That's probably the best way to go, is to make the mint infused simple syrup using some mint extract, using the sugar, using the water. And you can make more of it that way. You can make a whole batch of simple syrup, put it in the the jar, and you could do with that simple syrup a whole lot of other things. You could throw in some lemongrass. You could throw in put lemon juice in with the simple syrup. You can do all kinds of stuff with the simple syrup. And like I was saying before, you can use lemon, you could use watermelon, you could use peach, you could use, a peach julep, watermelon julep, any kind of fruit drink that you can think of, you can put into a julep. And it makes a mint julep, the classic mint julep, is just about the most basic you get. It's water, sugar, mint. That's it. But if you want to get freaky, peach, watermelon, pomegranate, cucumber, apple, lemon, hell, lime, if you really wanted to get spicy with it. Anything really that anything you can, any lemon lime. Do a 7-Up mint julep if you wanted to get really weird about it. But any kind of those things, any fruit you could, kiwi julep. God, you could get super crazy. You can do all kinds of things with the simple syrups. Make a make a base with it, and then that's basically lemonade and mint to make the Colonel Angus. There you go. And you can imagine using a tumbler to mix a drink. Absolutely, absolutely. And yeah, if you're not a big fan of mint, you can lay off the mint easily, quite easily. Tom Tucker's Mint Ginger Ale. Ginger would be a nice add to one of these guys. It would be a nice add to one of these guys. Very, very good point. Do you have to drink a mint julep with a paper straw if you're... I don't think so. I prefer not to use a straw. I prefer not to use straws with my mixed drinks, because I have a habit of just going for the drink and drinking right out of the glass. And if there's a straw in my drink, there's a very good chance that I'm going to poke my eye out. And I would rather not poke my eye out. If you're a woman, do you have to wear one of those outrageous hats? You don't have to, but you can. And I also have it on very good authority that they do not wear any underwear at the Kentucky Derby. So there you go. Paper straws. Paper straws are a fucking joke. I hate paper straws. Anyway, Easy Street with Jen is in the house. Whose name? Oh, there it is. Name's already added to the thing. Cool. I'm in and out. Hit the thumbs up. Thank you, Jen, for reminding people to do the thing that they're supposed to do. My sign is right there. You can see it over my shoulder. Don't forget to like, subscribe, hit the notification bell, do all those things. Because when you hit the notification bell, you will be reminded when I go live, because I do go live in the middle of the day. Almost, it's not quite random. It's usually like every couple of weeks. But over the course of the next 3 weeks, I'm going to be going live from the shop a lot. I've got my bathroom being built out. I've got my bourbon barrels being filled. I've got some vodka that we're making. I've got some rye that we're bottling. I've got another bar that I'm building. I've got my production booth that I'm building. I've got all kinds of shit going on at the distillery over the course of the next 2 weeks. And we've got a lot of busy stuff going on. It's going to be fun. And of course, the shorts and all the other nonsense that I post up on the YouTubes. We got a lot of activity that we've got coming up. Julep at the Kentucky Governor's Mansion for the Derby. You should get 2 points for having a julep at the Kentucky Governor's Mansion. I don't know many people who have ever done that in general. Where's Lisa the back? Pizza simple syrup. All right, so here's the thing. Pizza's made with bread. I don't think you can do it, but you could do tomato juice, garlic, Italian seasoning and spices. I mean, that's basically just a V8. I mean, V8 has all the other vegetable stuff, but it's a tomato-based. I mean, it's basically a Bloody Mary mix, right? And I can confirm that Bloody Marys with whiskey are trash. They taste like absolute shit. Um, your mom was mad about the student loan stuff. She took it as getting a middle finger by the. There's a lot of people that were big mad. There's a whole lot of people that are big mad about student loans being discharged. But see, here's the thing. A lot of people who are getting their student loans discharged paid the balance of their student loans. But it's the interest of the student loans because these servicing companies, they charged 6.5% interest for the 4 years while you were in school, and then 2 years of deferral. So for sometimes 5 years, 7 years, 8 years, if you were in school 4, 5, 6 years, 7 or 8 years, between 4 and 7 years of deferred interest. So that interest earned interest and compounded on top of itself. So if you took let's say $8,000 loan the first year, your interest on that first year was north of 8,000 times 0.065. It was north of $500. So 8,000 times 0.065. It was north of 520 if that was just simple interest, but it was compounded interest, so it was closer to $1,000. So your $8,000 loan turned into $10,000 loan, and then the next year your new $8,000 loan is added to that $10,000 loan, and then but that $10,000 loan added another $1,000 or $2,000 worth of interest. So now you've taken a new $8,000 loan that is added to the $10,000 that you already had, plus another couple $1,000 for that $8,000, plus another couple $1,000 for the first $8,000. So at the end of your second year, you've taken $16,000 in loans that are now worth $20,000. At the end of your third year, you've taken $24,000 in loans that are now worth closer to $30,000. And at the end of your fourth year, you've taken $32,000 in loans that you now owe close to $50,000 on, and that is, and then they give you another 4 years worth of deferral so that you can start making money and start earning enough money to start paying that back because your first entry level job. So now you're 4 years out of school and you owe something close to $65,000. And now these kids, 4 years out of school, owe $65,000. They're like, holy shit. And they start making payments and they start making, $1,000 a month payments, $800 a month payments, whatever it is. Over the course of the next 5 years, they've paid back $60,000, but they still owe $60,000. And basically, the federal government is saying, look, you've paid back your loan. In some cases, 2 and 3 times over. You're good. Relax. Hang on, I gotta move this table. You're good. This is our money anyway. It was the feds saying this is our money anyway. This money never went into circulations. The money never went. It was basically moved from department to department. Intergovernmental transfer is done, finished. You've paid it back. You're good. And besides, it was used to recapitalize the banks in the first place. Or most recently used to recapitalize the banks back in 2008. They're just transferring that money back to the people that recapitalized the banks to begin with. But it made a whole lot of people big mad. But the whole lot of people who got big mad weren't really upset about the billions of dollars that were transferred to the banks to begin with. They're just really pissed off that it happened to actual human beings. And most of these people are boomers that kind of fucked everybody to begin with. So, I'm not really mad about fucking the boomers over. Fuck them. Not mad about them at all. Imagine a Bloody Mary made with a pizza. That's what I was just saying. A Bloody Mary, if you make a Bloody Mary with whiskey, it absolutely 100% tastes like ass. There's so many competing flavors in there between the whiskey and the Bloody Mary mix and the Worcestershire and the Tabasco and the the pepper and all the stuff that goes into it. Maybe that's what I should do for my next one, our next show. Since we have vodka at the shop right now, maybe I'll do a Bloody Mary episode where we compare the mix with a handmade Bloody Mary. Huh. I'm liking this. I'm liking this idea of the mixes versus the handmade, the mix versus the handmade version, the handmade old fashioned versus the mix old fashioned. There's not really a mix to be made with the mint julep because it's just water. There's not really a whole lot to be done there. Pour some water in that cup to rinse it out because that's grass. But there's not really a mix to compare with the mint julep, but there is mixes to be compared with Bloody Marys and old fashions and margarita. Oh, whiskey sour. Doing a handmade whiskey sour, but to do a handmade whiskey sour, you got to use like egg whites and all kinds of other shit. What a mess. Wow, I'm gonna have to think more about this. A good one made with bacon flavored vodka. I've seen a lot of Bloody Marys where they really go all out, turn them into like shrimp cocktail Bloody Marys that are garnished with shrimp and celery and bacon and sausage and just like it's a whole fucking breakfast meal, and it's like y'all just trying too damn hard. I can't. Behind the housing crash before the dominoes started to fall, he even had the stones to publish it the day the bank he worked for filed for bankruptcy. Wells Fargo never filed for bankruptcy, but there was a bank up there that did. It was purple, I believe. Prosperity Bank? No. Wells bought it. What bank did Wells Fargo buy? What bank did Wells Fargo buy in 2008? I think it was. Wachovia. Wachovia was bought by Wells Fargo. That's probably the one you're thinking of because that was a major bank that was about to go tits up when Wells Fargo bought it. Hawaiian pizza extract in a Bloody Mary. Now, I have seen Bloody Marys with pineapple, chunks of ham, pineapple, sausage, bacon. That might be the only place where Hawaiian pizza is appropriate. In Mexico, La Bandera with layers of margarita, tequila, and Bloody Mary. Interesting. The Tiger Barn Cafe in June Lake, you made a bacon version of their Bloody Mary, sub celery salt with bacon salt, and celery stick with a slice of bacon. Fascinating. That is all fascinating. I'm not ever going to make one of those. That is cocktail beyond my interest level in cocktail. I mean, bravo to bars that go all out and try too hard with their Bloody Marys, but I don't find the Bloody Mary to be a particularly appetizing drink in general. And I'm not going to spend that much time, that much energy in building a fucking fishbowl Bloody Mary with all the crap in there. I wouldn't mind drinking one that had shrimp and stuff in it because I like shrimp. But I'm not going to make that. I don't like making cocktails necessarily. I like mixing a drink. Like I'm not going to make another mint julep tonight. It's not that good of a drink for me to want to make it, but I am going to pour myself I don't have a piece of ice. I wonder where my wife is. Hang on, let me see if I can get her to bring me a chunk of ice in a big glass. I'm going to text her and ask if she's up. You up? You up? See, me texting my wife. You up? No, she read it. She's up. she's in bed, but she's awake. Should I bug her? Yeah, I'm gonna bug her. A fresh glass and a chunk of ice. She's gonna hate me. She's gonna absolutely. She's like, I wasn't upset. I didn't done it. I'm like, yeah, I'm gonna make you do it now. I love her. She's so sweet. She's not feeling particularly good. She's not feeling pretty. She's been down with a cold the last couple of days, and now she's on the tail end of that, so she's beginning to feel better. She's probably be back at work tomorrow. She texted back, sigh. Oh goodness, how I love her. She's such a sweet lady. She puts up with my shit. And tomorrow is our 21st anniversary. We will have been married as of tomorrow afternoon at 2 p.m. I think 1 p.m., 2 p.m., I don't know, something like that. We will have been married for 21 whole years. 16 years happily married. No, I'm kidding. 21 full years of marriage. We dated for something like 6 years before we got married, too. Anyway, hell of a drink. I don't know if y'all heard the sigh. She sounded like one of those automatic doors from the Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy.
Nice.
So everybody agrees that I need to shave your head for our 700th subscriber.
No.
She just said yes.
Yeah. Nice.
So,
That is right on up there with fighting a kangaroo. Not happening.
okay, so she just said I could fight a kangaroo.
No, I did not.
She just confirmed that we will be fighting a kangaroo. Too late.
not.
I've already made the announcement.
I said it was right on up there with that. Not happening.
So she thinks that shaving. Love you, dear.
Love you. Good night.
I'm waiting for the door to close so I can keep talking. Love you, dear.
You know I can hear you in the bedroom.
Yeah, I can hear you in the bedroom. She thinks that me shaving her head would be as hard as me fighting a kangaroo, but I guarantee I can beat a kangaroo much easier than I can shave her head.
Yeah, well, you'd be living at your mama's house, too. And that would be an issue, and that would be a lot harder.
And if I fought a kangaroo, I wouldn't have to go move in with my mom. All right. So I'm just going to make a mixed old-fashioned here. This is literally one part mix, 2 parts whiskey. So that's just what we're going to do. Because I don't mind the mix. It's fine. It's not. I don't think it's as good as the handmade one, but it works fine. It does the trick. It solves the problem of what am I going to drink? And I just pour it over the ice. 2 parts whiskey, and the old fashioned is made with rye because the old fashioned predates bourbon. Bourbon was not defined as a drink until was not defined as a style of whiskey until 1906. Defined legally as a style of whiskey until 1906, and an old fashioned. The old-fashioned style of cocktail predates or dates back to 1808, as we learned last week. Dates back to 1808, and the cocktail known as the old-fashioned was popularized in the 1880s. So there you go. I'm going to throw in a few bitters. These are orange bitters. Drip, 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 drip. And this, my friends, sans garnish is what my old-fashioned looks like. Just 2 parts this, or 1 part that, 2 parts this, and 1 part. So there you go. Ladies and gentlemen, let's hear it for the Mrs. Old Humble Guy. Cheers. Thank you for coming. Thank you so much for joining us. Love you dearly. I look forward to our next weekend. We're going camping. Well, we're going glamping at the KOA in Lufkin, just outside of Lufkin. We're going to visit a distillery, a brewery, a winery, and enjoy our time unplugged from the world up at the KOA outside of Lufkin, and we're going to enjoy ourselves. But tomorrow night we will not be having trivia because I am madly in love with that woman, and I am going to be doing everything I can to wrestle her to the ground so that I can shave her head. Because she's just that kind of wonderful. So there you go. So we are currently at 747 subscribers, and as I said, if we hit 750 subscribers before I close this show, the last show of August, we close this show with 750 subscribers, I am turning this beautiful pelt of mine blue. So there you go. What do we got in chat? Let's carry on. It is 10:46 in chat, and it is 11:12 in reality, so let's catch it all up. Good night, Jen. Thank you for joining us. Absolutely one of my favorite people in the whole wide world. This Easy Street with Jen person. Can't remember the name brand, but there was a bacon flavored vodka. Bacon flavored vodka. There's just flavored vodka is just garbage. I don't like flavored vodka. 746 is the exact number of watts and 1 horsepower. 1 horsepower in watts. Isn't one of those units? I don't know. I don't know enough about conversion of electricity and electric. Isn't that electrical engineering? I don't know enough about that shit. I should, but I don't know much about that shit. It's the first week of May, not the old last week of May. My bad. I thought it was. I know it was sometime in May. I don't watch horse races. They do not excite me, not even a little bit. Not even. I mean, I like the tradition, I like the history, but yeah, they just don't excite me. Didn't quite work out. Perhaps I tried. Yeah, candied bacon is exactly what you need to do if you're going to infuse bacon. If you're going to infuse bacon or vodka with bacon, you need to use candied bacon because otherwise the bacon just pickles and falls apart. Twisted Art Lady's in the house. Art Lady, adding her name to the wheel of doom and glory. Awesome. Cheers, Twisted. Try making lamb chop juleps because of the mint. Well, they do make, I mean, mint jelly. Mint jelly is a perfect add to. It is a perfect add to a simple syrup. Mint jelly and simple syrup, they go together quite easily. Mint julep is a waste of whiskey. Hey now, Dustin. Welcome to the party, top shelf, Dustin. Name has been added to the wheel of doom and glory. Cheers to the party, my friend. Glad to have you. And as I said, if we have 750 when I close, if we have 750 subscribers when I close the stream, I will dye my beard blue. Probably before the next stream, unless the next stream is actually Friday, and I probably won't be able to dye my beard blue before then. But I will full on go blue beard for next week. Where are we at? What's next? Don't believe anyone's mad about that because someone on TV is. I don't think people are really mad about the student. I don't think if they really thought about it that they would be really mad about the student loans being forgiven. Because I think most people, like the vast majority of the people, it doesn't affect them. They don't care. I really do think that most people, it's not controversial at all. It's, students need it. It's fine. It's these guys, it's fine. And for the most part, it doesn't affect any, it's like, extending veterans benefits for the PACT Act. Like most of the people, like the vast majority of the Americans support it, but for the vast majority of the Americans, it doesn't affect them. They were pissed off because it got blocked, but if it had stayed blocked and they hadn't actually passed it, they'd been like, like those of us who were upset about it, we'd been like, well, that sucks. What are we gonna do about it? Nah. Call my senator and tell him he's a fucker. I call my senator and tell him he's a fucker all the time. What are we gonna do about it? There's not a whole lot we can do about it. Is it? And I think for the vast majority of people, when it comes to the student loans, I don't think they really give a shit. Even the ones that are like mad, I don't really think they're that mad. They'll get over it in the next couple of weeks. They won't care. And if they don't get over it in the next couple of weeks, they're not going to get over it. They never get over it. Then they're mad about everything. They're just pissed off about every goddamn thing. They're just like, like whatever. There's too many turns in this road. Like, all right, boomer, fuck off. Anyway, Mint Julep is a waste of whiskey. I'll say again what I said earlier. It's a delightful drink. It was light and refreshing, and it was fine. But that is a problem. I'm not going to make 2 of those. I have more mint. I have more ice. I'm not going to make 2 of those. The shaved ice is a lot of work. It's just, it's all right. It's fine. It's a fine drink. I would be more inclined to drink flavored juleps, lemon, lime, watermelon, strawberry. Oh, a strawberry julep. That'd be good. A strawberry julep, a watermelon julep, peach, kiwi, maybe. Loquat, kumquat. A citrusy type of julep, maybe. There's all kinds of variations on the mint julep that I would be much more interested in having than just a traditional classic mint julep. The mint, the water, the sugar, that's fine. Sugary, minty water, that's fine. But man, compared to the Colonel Angus that we do at the distillery, it is just it's boring. The Colonel Angus is just fun. It's lemonade and peppermint. It is a very delightful, especially in the summertime. Peppermint lemonade? Who doesn't like peppermint lemonade in the summertime? I mean, please. It's there are superior cocktails to the mint julep, without question. Much more superior. Without question. Yeah, so there you go. No, and no, you can't use the actual pizza because the bread won't melt in the water. All the other stuff will probably melt into the water, but the bread won't melt into the water. And good Hawaiian pizza, if you disassemble the Hawaiian pizza and put it into a Bloody Mary, then that's a reason to exist. That's the only reason for it to exist, though. Like, I don't want to eat it on bread. I don't want to make it without question. Yeah, actually, Dustin, they do compound interest on student loans before they go into repayment. I can confirm that firsthand knowledge. They absolutely do. But that's just how it goes. It's fun stuff. It really is. Weren't most of the people who took these loans told? Oh yeah, absolutely. They were told how they were structured. They were absolutely told how they were structured, but it's you kind of get sold a bill of goods, and you're told that you have to go to school in order to get the job, in order to pay for the loans, and then the loans are going to help. And they tell you the amounts, but when you come out of school, I don't want to say it's predatory, but they tell you that you'll be able to repay it. You'll be able to repay it in 5 or 10 years, but they don't tell you that it's going to be like $1,500 a month when you're coming out of school, and your rent's going to be $25, and you're going to have to be paying $15, and your first job is going to be $40 grand. They don't. I mean, they do tell you how it's going to be structured. That is fair. They do tell you that. But they don't really tell you the whole, if they know you're coming out of school not making enough to be able to pay these things back. They know you're coming out of school with a tremendous amount of debt. They know it. And they're okay with there's zero risk to the banks because they're not dischargeable. They're putting all the risk on you and all the risk on the feds. The banks sitting in the middle, they're like, nah, we're fine. They don't care. And if there was actual risk associated with these loans, the banks may not be making these loans. You put it on the colleges. Absolutely, the colleges raised the price, took advantage of the loan program. They took the transfers from the Fed straight to them, and discharging the loans simply recognizes the reality of the thing that the state institution, which is the school, took advantage of the federal program and put the student on the hook, and 2 entire generations of people on the hook to pay back a tax on 2 generations of educated people, a transfer from the feds to the states. That was basically what it is. And it's it's the federal government working on behalf of people who pay taxes to the federal government, asking the federal government to say, hey, look, instead of dropping 36 Harvard scholarships on Syria, why not? Bear with me here. Instead of dropping 36 Harvard scholarships, full ride, 4-year Harvard scholarships on an empty airfield in Syria over the course of a 35-minute bombardment, why not spread that around to about 25 million people? That's all. I mean, that's the difference. It's an entire class of voters standing up and saying, "Hey, look! Instead of doing this thing, do this other thing." And that's how government should work. And you can call it buying votes, but that's kind of what the feds do. They kind of buy votes with their policies. That's kind of what they do. I, I'm not opposed to it. I would much rather the federal government work on behalf of the people than not work on behalf of the people. But you know, in general, the blah 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 arc of history, blah 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 blah, whatever. The people can stand up and make it happen, and they're kind of doing it. And I'm here for it. I'm happy to see it happening. Finally. Um, and that's not to say that the federal government can do one or the other, because the feds can do both. There's enough. I mean, we're the most prosperous country in the world, but we can't do the things that all the other countries can do. I mean, it's like it's we're stuck in this like time this bubble, this warped bubble of perception that we're like, gosh, we have these problems. How could we possibly solve these problems? How could we possibly come up with these ideas to solve these problems? And like, everybody else is like, well, they can do it, and 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 they can do it. And we're like, yeah, if only somebody had the inkling of an idea. And like everybody else is going like, but, and you're like, if only, who knows, how can we possibly solve it? It's, these are solvable problems. They're not hard. They're very solvable problems. Um, it's just a question of whether or not we can solve them, or whether or not we will solve them. It's not can. It's will or will not. It's not can or cannot. It's always will or will not. Anyway, more or less take up basically. Uh, does that mean you can grasp the cost? Not necessarily. Bank of the West, that one too. Yeah. I worked at a regional bank here in the Southeast, the largest regional bank in the Southeast. The regional bank, the bank that was the largest bank in the region of the Southeast states. And when you looked at the list of acquisitions that they made through the 90s to become the largest region bank in the Southeast states, from where they started to where the list of succession banks, when they bought Farmers, they bought Union Planters, they bought all the banks that they bought to become what they were, it was fun and fascinating because I worked in the trust department, or one of the trust departments that they had, and I had to track the history of the trust agreements that we had. So when the trust agreement said that the trust was written between such and such funeral home and the bank of the Southeast Farmers Union, or whatever the fuck it was, I had to track the lineage of the Southeast Farmers Union Bank in this contract, from Southeast Farmers Union Bank to the State Bank of Southeast Farmers to the Regional Bank of Southeast Farmers to the Union Bank of Southeast Farmers to the ultimately acquired financial bank of the Southeast regions, and just like track the lineage of these banks. Bank acquisition law is absolutely fun and fascinating. I always enjoyed the contract law part of what I did. I was not so much a fan of the nonsensical, stupid busy work, and certainly did not enjoy picking up the phone and having some backwards bumpkin be all like, I want to move all my stuff into CDs, when the prevailing rate for CDs was 0.025%. It's like, dude, you dig holes for a living. You dig holes and you put dead people in those holes for a living. I'm here administering your trust for you, and I'm telling you I cannot do that. I will not do that. I'm sorry, I can't do that. That's against my obligation as a fiduciary to be able to do that. Which, naturally leads them to say, well, then you're fired as my trustee. I'm going to hire somebody who will do it for me. Like, all right, cool. Just tell them to give me a call and we'll transfer the cash to those ding-dongs. Whatever. I'm sure you can find someone. Like in The Simpsons, when he goes to Dr. Hibbert, he's like, Dr. Hibbert, I need to become 300 pounds so I can get disability. And Dr. Hibbert's like, that would be unethical. I can't do that. And they say, well, you refer me to a doctor that will. He's like, yeah, go see Dr. Nick. That's, kind of how we had to do things. I couldn't do it, but I would absolutely send him somebody who would. Ugh, of all the things. Anyway, minor insight to me as in a former life. Some student loans don't have interest while you're in. Yeah, oh yeah. Some didn't have interest while you were in school. But the deferral period post school would have interest, and they would start compounding. There were very fair point. There were both. Some loans absolutely compounded while you were in school. Some loans did not compound while you were in school. They all compounded when you graduated, and there was a grace period of repayment post graduation that didn't necessarily. There was a grace period after graduation that most of them compounded, but not all of them, and it was still kind of helter skelter. So, it's fine to keep it simple. I do like make those, and simple's good. Mike, student loans long since paid off, along with my sisters. It upset my mom that her and her dad worked their butts off to put us through school, and they pull. Oh, yeah, and that's fair. That's fair. I mean, we worked our asses off. Me and my lovely wife, to pay her student loans that were supposed to have been discharged because she's a teacher. And she worked at a Title I school, and the loans were supposed to be discharged, but there was a mix-up in the paperwork, and they didn't file it at the school, and she didn't file it. It was a clusterfuck. Not necessarily her fault entirely, not the school's fault entirely. It was a little bit of a mix-up on both communication between the school, her, and the Department of Education. We had to pay that off, and the Department of Education almost fucked us, because we had put it in the mail. They didn't record it until like 3 days after they received it, and I was able to demonstrate to them, like, look, guys, I paid this motherfucker off. Y'all are fucking us. And we did, and I'm not upset that we're not getting money back from her loans that they fucked us on. But at the same time, I got a niece in school that my brother's paying money on. I got a nephew in school that my brother-in-law is paying money on. I've got kids of my own that are going to school. I've got student loans of my own You know, I know 4 people that have money. They graduated 10 goddamn years ago, have paid the entire amount of their tuition twice, and they still owe money on their student loans. And you know, they're still paying money off, and they're going to get. It's going to be a huge benefit to these guys. It's going to be a huge benefit to a lot of people I know, and it's and at the same time, I know a whole lot of people that were able to go through school. They didn't have to take out loans, and bravo to them. I know a whole lot of people that went through school and they paid off their student loans. Bravo to them. They're doing quite well. Quite well. They don't have to. They're not worrying about. They're not worrying about much right now. And the folks getting funds paid off, it does not at all affect the ones that paid off the money. You know, it just it does. It's like when I worked at a nonprofit. I worked in a nonprofit that took care of. They trained advocates to speak on behalf of children who were in the child protective services system. It was the company was called Child Advocates, part of the CASA program, court-appointed special advocates program, nationwide program. The Texas CASA program is known as Child Advocates because CASA means house in Spanish, and da 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 da. These folks would go into the court. They'd be appointed by the judge. They'd speak on behalf of the children. The parents would have a lawyer. The state would have a lawyer. The children didn't have anybody speaking on their behalf. Okay? So that's the context. Every once in a while, we would get a gift from a local organization to give tickets to the kids for the museum, or for Astros games, or for Texans games, or for Rockets games, baseball, football, basketball here in Houston, Dynamo games, the soccer matches here in Houston. They'd get free tickets to go to Astroworld, free tickets to, you know, and they would be given to us as the organization, and then we would distribute them down through our advocates, and the advocates would take the kids and take them to the events. Inevitably, somebody would say, "Oh, I wish I was abused as a kid, then I could get special perks, be able to go to fucking Astros game for free." Like, dude, you did not want to have the life of these kids. You did not want to have the life of these people. These people had challenges. These people had shit that they were dealing with. You didn't want to be, you did not want to trade places with these kids. Like, nobody in their right mind would be all like, you know, I have all my student loans paid off. I would much rather trade places with these kids who are, you know, physically, mentally, sexually abused as 8-year-olds, 9-year-olds, 10-year-olds, whose lives are literally put into black garbage bags as they were taken from their homes, their families, their parents, the lives that they knew. No matter how shitty those lives were, they were taken from everything they knew, their support structure, and put into foster care. And invited to learn new parents, new brothers, new sisters. Yeah, like, you didn't want to trade places with these people. And 99% of the time, when it comes to the student loan thing, you don't want to trade places with these people. You don't want to, you've got a good job, you've got good work, you've got your home paid for, you get a car paid for, whatever the fuck it is. Your parents paid for your schooling, your parents paid for your loans, whatever the shit was. You don't want to trade places with the people who still have $40,000 in student loans. You don't want to trade places with these people. They're working through shit. Their credit is shot. Their homes are upside. Like, they've got shit that they're dealing with. And you don't want to trade places with. You absolutely do not want to trade places with these people, because you've got it pretty good. You know, you've got all your shit paid off. You've got your shit under control. And I get it. I get it. You know, the frustration is like, I did all the shit that I needed to do. I played by the rules, but it's the same frustration that these guys who have outstanding student loans are feeling in the same way. We played by the rules. We did what you told us to do. We went and got the education. We got the loans to pay for the education. We went to get the jobs, but the other half of the equation did not materialize. The jobs didn't materialize. The pay didn't materialize. The work didn't materialize. It did not happen the way they said it would happen. So, like, you're telling people live up to your obligation, but the other half of it was the social compact that led them into entering into the obligation to begin with. Go to school, get your education, get your job. The job pays for the loan gets paid off, you're good to go. But you go to school, you get the education, you get the job doesn't pay for the education, the loan keeps growing. There was a promise broken. Somewhere in that like cycle, the promise was broken. You don't want to fucking trade places with these people. You absolutely don't want to trade places with these people. Yeah. There's other stories to be told, but I won't tell those stories. We'll get to those later. Sometime, maybe. Who knows? Your marriage can drink. Yes, thank you. Yes, as of in about 23 minutes, my marriage will be 21 years old. It will be allowed to drink in the state of Texas. 1/5 of the normal debt of a. They took back about yeah, I know. Like most students have about 50. The average debt is like $50,000, and they took back 1/10 of it to between. I'm sorry, 1/5 to 2/5, somewhere in that neighborhood. But they've got a long ways to go still. A lot of promises not yet kept. But that still betrays the fact that if you make the payments that you're required to make over the course of 20 years, the loan gets discharged anyway. 20 goddamn years. You'd be 42, 43, 44, 45, and your loan finally goes away because you've at least paid something for 25 years. All the feds are doing is saying, you know what, we're just going to skip forward 20 years. Fuck it. And that's fair. I'm here for it. I'm good for it. I don't mind. I do not mind. And yeah, how little, like not just the 1/5 of the average debt, but that $3.5 billion or $3.9 billion, whatever it is, that is not even a rounding error. The federal budget is 27 trillion, 17 trillion. What is the, hey Siri, what's the total federal budget right now?
Okay, I found this on the web. What's the total federal budget right now?
Oh, it's not even close to that. It's 6 trillion, 2 trillion, 6 trillion. U.S. federal budget is 6.8. Is that right? Released a $6.01 trillion budget proposal in May 2021. Okay, so $6 trillion, $4 billion is truly nothing to the federal government. It is truly, I mean, that is the equivalent of, let's see here. If your average 2-income household makes $80,000 a year, that means your average monthly income is $6,000. Is that right? 80,000 divided by 12. 80,000 divided by 12. Is that 6? Yeah, that's 6. So if your average American makes $40,000, that means your average household is $80,000, and that's somewhere in the neighborhood. $6,500 a month. That would be $40. No, not even $40. 6,000 0.004 6 trillion, 4 billion. That would be $4. That would be one run to Starbucks for a small mocha latte. Small, medium mocha latte. That's like $5. I think that's about right. So this whole student loan shit is like the federal government saying, yeah, we'll have a grande mocha latte with no whip. Yeah, we're good. Okay, that's it. That's all. Yeah, I'm good. No croissant. No nothing else. I don't need any cookies. Thank you. And then you pull around and you take your phone and you go, boop. That's it. And that's how you pay for it. It's the $4 billion to the federal government is, yeah, that's a Starbucks. That's an order of Starbucks for a normal family. One order of Starbucks for a normal people, give or take, on average. Upper a little bit here and there. Now, if they'd taken $10,000 off my loans, that would have covered me for not wanting to work the last year. Paid for college thanks to some help, such as my mom worked for my college. Yeah, I get that. The dating app girls that apparently can make men old fat. All right, so this is a question. Bacon is knowing how to make an old fashioned. I think we talked about this last week. Is that a thing in dating apps? Like they say, I know how to make an old fashioned. Like it's that hard? Forget one of those dating apps that apparently can make a mean old fashioned. I shall admonish them heavily if they are. Oh, you absolutely should have. I had a guy. I was fucking doing a tasting yesterday at Total Wine, and the guy said, "No, we're having old fashions tonight." And he was over there on the bourbon side of the aisle, and the rye was over here, and I was doing a tasting from rye. I'm like, dude, if you're doing old fashions, you're using rye. Rye predates bourbon. Why are you do? And what he was doing, he thought he was being clever, but here's the thing: when people are buying bottles to flip, and they're looking on their phone to see what they can get in the aftermarket price for the bottles that they're buying at the fucking store, they're not nearly as clever as they think they're being. We can see them. We have eyes. They're visible. There's lights. We can see what they're doing. We know what they're doing. You're buying a bottle to try and flip it. And here's the really funny thing. You bought a damn bottle of Four Roses bourbon. That's not fucking whiskey that you're going to be able to flip on the secondary market. You can't flip a bottle of Four Roses bourbon. Four Roses is available at every Dick, Jane, Harry, Tom, Frank, and Bob side road store that you can get to. You can get Four Roses bourbon anywhere. It is factory Kentucky bourbon. You can get Four Roses bourbon anywhere. You're fucking buying the Four Roses to flip? You're not fooling anybody, dude. And you're not going to get the fucking secondary market price that you think you're going to get. Nobody pays secondary market prices for bottles of bourbon. Nobody pays that shit. Unless they deserve to have to pay that much money because they're just fucking dumb. But seriously, you can get that stuff. You just gotta be patient. Go there tomorrow. Go there the next day. Go there the next day. You're gonna get that special bottle of whiskey. But here's a really funny thing: the bottles of whiskey that I was actually selling right there in front of him, offering him a sample of, offering him a sip of, more rare, more hard to get, more sought after than that fucking than the shit that he bought. Are you kidding me? Are you kidding me? You want a rare bottle of whiskey? I'll show you a rare goddamn bottle of whiskey. I'll show you a bottle of whiskey that they make less of in a year than they make of in a day of the shit that you're going to buy from the Kentucky factories. Don't give me this shit you're making old fashioned. You're full of all the crap. We can see right through you. You're like a pane of glass. We can look right through you. Not hard to see through. Ugh, these people. Jesus Christ. And then there's a dude who got pissed off at me because I wouldn't tell him information from my balance sheet for the company. Like, what's your unit cost? I'm like, that's none of your business. Oh, what's your unit cost? I saw that on Shark Tank. I'm supposed to be able to ask you. You can ask the fucking question all you want. But unless you're going to sign a non-disclosure agreement for you random ding-dong from a fucking store who didn't even bother to buy a goddamn bottle of whiskey, why the fuck should I tell you what my cost is? Eat a bag of dicks. Oh, you shouldn't. Fuck you. Go away. I don't need your business. I don't need you. Go away. Ugh, that guy pissed me off. That guy set the tone for the whole damn night that made me just cranky. And it took me 30 minutes to get over his dumbassery, mostly because the store was kind of slow for like that 30 minutes. But after that 30 minutes, a bunch of people started coming in, and I got way over real fast because I sold like 3 cases of whiskey, and it was fine. Selling whiskey puts me in a great mood. When people are showing up and they're like, yeah, that tastes great. They always say that tastes great because it tastes great. But You know, when you have a whole room full of people showing up and buying whiskey, that puts you in a good mood. No matter how much of a dumbass who's like, I want to know all the details and workings. What time do you get into the office in the morning? Do you wipe from front to back or back to front? Like, fuck you. You don't get to be privy to all the information of my business. Unless you want to buy a bottle. If you buy a bottle of whiskey, I'm a little bit more open with you. But if you're not going to buy a bottle, if you just be an asshole, you're going to waste my time, you can just, God, just suck a bag of dicks. I don't really give a shit. And see, that's one of the benefits of being like the owner of the company. When I go out and do tastings, I can give people crap. They're like, "Oh, I'm here to buy Crown." I'm like, "Oh, okay." So I always introduce them like, "Would you like to try my delicious whiskey?" Like, "No, I'm just here to get some Crown." I'm like, "Oh, so you don't like delicious whiskey? That's fair. Just get whatever you want then. I'll talk to you later. I'll be around. When you change your mind, come see me." And that at least gets them to laughing. It gets them into a conversation. It gets them talking. I can be a little bit more like I can be a little bit more dickish. That's probably the word I'm looking for. Dickish, aggressive, uh, confrontational, conversational. Yeah, that's it. The hired guns can't quite be that. They don't want to offend people. Like I'd be fine. Like if they complain to the store because I'm being too like I'm being mean. I'm being too annoying. I'm picking on them for their shitty bourbon decisions. If they complain to the store, I'll feel good about that. I'll be like, yeah, that's fine. Let me talk to my supervisor about that. And I'll be like, yep, he bought shitty whiskey. That's fair. That's fair. He was here goofing off for 45 minutes and then walked out with Jim Beam. Yeah, he was a dick. Oh, you don't want me to come back to your store and sell all your goddamn whiskey? Fine. That's fine. You just let it sit on your shelf for a while. That's fine. They'll have me come back in a couple of weeks. It's fair. Anyway, what was I talking about? This has been a fun month. I've done the tour of Total Wines in the city of Houston. Looking forward to doing more of them over the course of October and November and December, for that matter. And we have our live show starting back up at the distillery in 3 weeks. We're gonna have the 23rd on the 23rd of September. We're going to have Same Old Circles coming out and joining the party. So we'll be back live on Friday nights here on this channel. We've got our tailgating starting up in a couple of weeks. We've got all kinds of fun stuff going on at the distillery. I'm pumped. I'm geeked. This is going to be a great month. I'm super excited about September. Anyway, where were we? What were we talking about? Since to qualify for some academic scholarships and financial help, I was able to obtain some also, but the rest my parents paid for. Yeah, I was in kind of the same boat for my undergrad. Yeah, the same boat for my undergrad. My parents paid for most of it. I paid for some of it. My master's degree, I paid for most of it, got loans for the rest of it. My wife was in the same boat. We paid for some of it, got loans for the rest of it. Yeah, I mean, I'm there. This is a different OnlyFans I'm used to hearing about on dating sites. All right, we got to close up shop. Oh, Mike McClune's going home. See you, Mike. That was 30 minutes ago. Holy shit, I am 30 minutes behind on chat. All right, I'm going to catch up. I'm going to focus up and catch up. No more random rants about that asshole who just insisted on knowing my unit cost. Fucking idiot. Anyway, gonna close up shop, get ready to head. Good night, and everyone in chat. Thank you, Mike, for partying with us for a little. Some of the federal loans where you don't pay interest while in school. That would be the subsidized. So there's two types. There's the subsidized federal loan and the non-subsidized. The non-subsidized do generate. Anyway, but you know about that. Mike, 1 horsepower equals 1 horse doing 33,000 foot-pounds of work in 1 minute as per Watt's calculation. That is good to know. I do not know enough about that shit. I need to learn more about it because I've got pumps and stuff that I need to have plugged into the grid. Why people are mad is more out of principle, chiefly. Yeah, it's more out of principle. It's more out of principle of what they think the mechanics of a student loan are. They think that it's like getting a loan to buy a car or a loan to buy a house. But it's not like that. If they, I really do think if they understood the mechanics of the student loan more, they would be less upset about it. Because it's, if they understood why it's a problem now, then they would be less upset about it. Because these were not income based loans. These were not means based loans. These were not loans based on the ability to repay. They were full on spec loans, and it's part and parcel of this assault on higher education that started 5 years ago, 6 years ago. Well, it started longer than 6 years ago. It was probably closer to 10 or 15 years ago. The Mike Rowe's of the world who were like, dirty jobs are the giant of jobs that keep this country running. You got to learn how to be a pipe fitter, a honey dipper, or some people have to sop out the sewage lines, and we need more people sopping out sewage lines. Like, no, you don't need more people sopping out sewage lines. You need some people sopping out sewage lines. You need more people coding computers and making robots work and making automated cars and making spaceships you need more people doing that shit. You need some people to be plumbers and carpenters and sewer sopper outers and honey dippers and you need some people to do that shit. But you don't need uneducated people jumping in and starting their own business. I mean, granted, you can be an uneducated person, start your own business, have the business savvy, the street savvy, whatever it is. But you need people who understand how businesses work and understand how balance sheets work and understand how understand the concept of the thing. And you can do it like just like you can get a great starting quarterback in the fourth round of the draft. Most of your great starting quarterbacks do not come out of the fourth, fifth, sixth rounds of the draft. Most of your great quarterbacks come out of the first, second round. That's where you find diamonds. You find diamonds in fields of diamonds. If you're looking for diamonds in the rough, you're looking in the wrong spot. You get lucky when you find a diamond in the rough. You're smart looking in the field of diamonds to find diamonds because that's where diamonds exist. You find them there. And there's a reason why you'll find successful business owners, successful managers, successful employees, successful business developers, successful people who have economic inputs. A lot of them drop out of college, but a lot of them you find them in college too. There's a reason for that. And as a percentage of the population, there's a reason you find people there, and as a percentage of the population, there's a reason you don't find them elsewhere. And it's not just the education. I mean, it kind of feeds on itself. It's not just the education that you get while you're in college, but it's also the connections you meet, the people you meet, and the discipline you learn while you're in college. It kind of all feeds on itself. And all of this stuff kind of, there's a reason why it's good national policy to want kids to go through high school and into college and graduate from college. It's all good. But I really do think that if most people understood the mechanics behind it and why it became a problem and why the interest or why the payments and why the balances became as big a problem as they are, they wouldn't be quite so mad. It's like the mechanics around the whole thing. When the cost of the loan is 3 times the actual loan that you took out, like, that's a problem. That's a problem. When you've already paid back the loan and then you've paid it back again and you still owe the same amount that you started with, that's a problem. That is a legitimate problem, and it's a problem that was created by the whole infrastructure of the student loan industry. And that is a problem that was created by the people who created the industry, and it's a problem that can only be solved by the people who created the industry. And that's kind of how it goes. And it's a weird problem in that it wasn't like created like the housing bubble. Like, that was a problem that was created by people buying houses, buying more house than they could afford, buying like with the housing crisis, for example. low interest rates meant that you could borrow more money, right? Right. So if your interest rate is 6% and your payment is $1,500, when the interest rate goes down to 3%, your interest rate goes or your payment goes down to $500, let's say. That means you can buy 3 times as much house to bring your payment back up to $1,500. So instead of buying a $200,000 house, you buy a $600,000 house. The thing was, the $200,000 house and the $600,000 house, the same goddamn house. It's the same fucking house. It's just one of them has a $600,000 price tag, one of them has a $200,000 price tag, and the only difference is the price of the loan. That's what you're paying for the fucking house. And that $200,000 house, you may have bought it at $200,000, and then your neighbor buys it $250,000, and the next neighbor is $300,000, and $400,000, $500,000, $600,000. Next thing you know, you have a $600,000 house neighborhood. You're cashing out, getting your that's how the housing bubble was created. As prices went down, or as interest rates went down, prices went up. It was a mess created by consumers who legitimately did dumb things. Like, you could have saved so much money by just buying a cheaper fucking house, but you chose instead to buy a more expensive house. And a lot of that was on the banks for agreeing to loans, but it was fine because the perception was that the value of everything was just going to continue to go up forever because they're mortgages, and that's they're not making more land. It's a safe bet. Not the same circumstance as student loans. Like, if they had recapitalized the mortgage industry by doing direct payments to mortgage holders instead of to the banks, it would have fucked up the entire economy, fucked up the entire industry, fucked up the entire economy. There was no guarantee that people would take that money and pay off their homes. It was just a big, giant cluster. But in this case, forgiving student loans, there's no question. You forgive the student loans, it goes to your student loan. You're not getting the money. It's going from the feds to the feds. It's like literally just like a write-off on their balance sheet. They're not doing anything. They're just taking $50,000 and turning it into 40. That's it. They're just like drawing a line on a piece of paper. That's all they're doing. Student loans, interest is simple interest. Fair, very well. I can say from personal experience that not all of them work the same way. 100% took advantage. Yeah, they absolutely took advantage of it. Yeah, without question. People in school then needed more dorms. Yeah, and that's a reality of the industry as well. That's the same thing with my industry. Like, if I'm going to make more whiskey, I need bigger stills. If I need bigger stills, I need more space. I need more fermenter space. I need more still space. I need more space for barrels. I need more space for bottlers. I need more space. When the inputs change, the whole infrastructure has to change. Like, everything changes. Absolutely, without question. They did. They started an arms race. More business students, more liberal arts students, more master's programs. There was just a whole bunch of stuff. And instead of having a bunch of small schools, you had a few big schools. And then those schools got big ESPN contracts. I mean, it was it was a giant reshuffling of the entire education industrial, like, without question. Degrees with a break-even ROI. Yep. But that's a very good point with regards to the students, because that's also one of the reasons why a lot of schools have very big business programs, because the business programs just are basically money earners for the schools, because they plow students into the business program and plow students back out, and then they go off and become employees. You have a degree that means nothing. That means very little. They say that liberal arts degrees mean nothing. your art history degree, your art history major. You go into art history and you end up being a barista. Like, dude, you get a fucking business degree. What are you gonna do? What does a business degree tell you? That you know how to use a Xerox machine and you know how to use a spreadsheet. You can type up a business letter in Excel or in Microsoft Word. Really? That's what your business degree tells you? Bravo. Psst. Business degrees are fucking money makers for colleges. They don't do anything. I'd much rather my kids get a literature degree or a history degree and then get their master's degree in business or engineering or something like that. It's a field people are actually paying for. Same numbers show college degree has a good ROI. It's just not exactly, yeah. And not all college degrees are built the same. You know, they all work different. Even a lot of it has to do with the connections you have with the schools and the involvement you have with the schools and the your fellow faculty and student bases and all kinds of stuff. They don't always pay off the same. Sadly, come to the end of your working career, and there's a whole lot to be said about the way the economy just chews through their workers too. Because when you come to the end of your working career and you get into retirement, and then like my former life, I was in the death care industry, and I've seen one-to-one basis, real time, how the industry is basically built to suck the last penny out of you before you die, and then they shuffle you off and dump you out and get the next person in and suck every penny out until you're done. It is the death care industry is a giant siphon to pull the last of your retirement savings out of your pocket, put it into the corporate account, and then send you off to the crematory. It is a brutal industry. But that's for another day. Worthless, which covers. Who's Claire? You point out Claire's book, Worthless. Who's Claire? Masters in Puppetry, one of them turned 11 million. 2.5. It's $2.50 for a large coffee. I'm not talking about like just a black coffee. Like, black coffee's cheap. I like black coffee. That's how I like to. I'm talking about like the mocha, the flavored things. It's like $4, $5, and student loan forgiveness for the federal government is like coffee for a normal household income. That's all. It's in that neighborhood. Maybe 2 coffees. If it is $2.50, then it's 2 coffees. Even aircraft maintenance, but assembly parts. I'm going to make a third of what I paid. Real kicker is a lot of jobs you don't even need. Yeah, there's a lot of jobs you don't need the certification. There's a whole bunch of other jobs though that they at least want to see you have the letters behind your name, which is extremely frustrating. I'm going to pay for college and jumped. How many of us are there? Just a couple. That's fine. We're going to wrap this up at midnight, I think. Credit for trying to bring value. Just tell them I usually make. Tell them I usually make Manhattans. Oh, the dating site girls. Gotcha. Oh, to be completely fair, not Yellow Rose. Four Roses is a perfectly good bourbon to drink, just in general. It's a good bourbon to drink. I enjoy it. I have no problem with it. It is a good, it's a good bourbon in general. But if you're telling me you're making old fashions for the night and you're going off and buying bourbon, like, we're gonna have words. I'm going to judge you for your decision. Is all I'm saying. This is why I don't take free samples. No, I don't want to try your whiskey. You see, and that's just the thing, Dustin. You're like, you don't want to try the whiskey. It's unlikely for what you want. Why would you think it's unlikely? You have no idea that it's not what you want if you don't even try it. Those are the people. Those are the type of people that I give them the most shit. Like, oh, I don't think I like it. Well, how the fuck do you think you won't like it? Why not? All you drink is that crap. If all you drink is that crap, then of course you won't like this because you've been indoctrinated to think that that's good whiskey. All you're gonna do is the only thing you want is the stuff you already know. Are you kidding me? You don't want to try new things? Fine. You just missionary sex for the rest of your fucking life. But some of us, like real enthusiasts, real people who like real bourbon, yeah, they're gonna want to try new things. Those are the people that I want to talk to. You want to try new stuff. You want to get involved with new stuff. You want to, maybe do a different position every once in a while. Let's go for it. Yeah, absolutely. But if you're like, nah, you want to try this stuff that I've never heard of it. I don't want to try it. Fuck you. Hey, you drink your fucking Evan Williams or whatever schlock that your great grandpappy used to drink, and that's the only stuff you ever drink because they put it in their kid's bottle and their kid's bottle and their kid's bottle and their kid's bottle. And if that schlock was good enough for you and your baby bottle, then it's good enough for your kids and their kids and their kids and their kids. But some of us may just want to entertain the idea that maybe something can taste different. And maybe, if you have constantly had the same garbage, that maybe, the scales will fall from your eyes and you'll be like, oh, wow, whiskey doesn't have to taste like dumpster water all the time. Because it doesn't. It can actually taste good. But also, like, that's my favorite rant to do. But at the same time, like, man, drink your whiskey is fine. I mean, I'm gonna give you a good-natured ribbing. If you come by, like, no, like, this is my favorite. Like, would you like to try my delicious whiskey? That's how I engage with everybody. Would you like to try my delicious whiskey? Like, no, I have to drive. Like, of course you have to fucking drive. How the fuck else did you get to the goddamn store? There's a giant parking lot out there the size of 3 football fields. You're telling me you just flew in? You just helicoptered down? You dove out of an airplane? Some donkey dropped you off? How the fuck do you think you got here? Of course you drove. Of course you have to drive home. Are you telling me that some people are special? No, don't give me that shit. It's barely 1/4 of a fucking ounce. You don't even know how fucking alcohol works. Unless you're already drunk when you walk into the store, you're not walking out of this store drunk. What the hell, people? That was my favorite lie. My second favorite lie. My second favorite lie is I'm okay. Like, you're okay. You're not okay. You're terrible. You're in a store shopping for whiskey. You're not okay. You could be great. You could be fantastic. You could be terrific with just 1/4 ounce of this delicious whiskey. That's my second favorite lie. And I'm kind of okay with that lie. But man, the first one is like, oh, basically, when you say, oh, I have to drive, you're basically saying, well, I don't know how alcohol works. Nah, it's fine. I take that back. My second favorite lie is when people say, oh, whiskey makes me fight. Like, no, it doesn't. Whiskey doesn't make you fight. There's nothing in whiskey that makes you fight. Whiskey is the same fucking drink as vodka, tequila, rum, gin. It's all the same. It's ethyl alcohol, water, and flavor. That's it. Nothing in this makes you get violent any more than vodka, any more than tequila, any more than any other alcohol out there. The only difference is you're a piece of shit. That's it. That's the only difference. You're using whiskey as an excuse for you to go out and be an asshole. You can do it with tequila, you can do it with gin, you can do it with rum, you can do it with vodka, but you choose whiskey to be your excuse for you to go out and be an ass. Don't blame whiskey for your bad social behavior. Don't blame whiskey for your bad character faults. Don't blame whiskey for you going out and getting arrested because you did dumb things when you drank whiskey. Those dumb things were already inside of you. The only thing whiskey did, the only thing this precious little bottle of elixir did, was it dropped the inhibitions that were stopping you from going out and living your genuine life. You need to accept that responsibility. you're the bad person. Whiskey's not the bad person. You're the bad person. That's who caused you to go out and punch the police officer's horse after you drank a bottle of Jack Daniels. Like, the Jack Daniels didn't cause you to punch the officer's horse. You caused you to punch the officer's horse. That's it. Nobody else. You would have done that with rum. You would have done it with tequila. You would have done it with beer. You'd have done it with wine. You'd have done it with whiskey. You'd have done it because that was inside you. Don't blame whiskey. Whiskey's not the bad guy here. Whiskey was trying to help you have a good time, and you went and ruined it by punching a horse. You punched a horse? What is wrong with you? Don't blame whiskey. Whiskey didn't do that. No. So those are my two favorite lies. But, basically it all boils down to, yeah, I just don't want to try anything new. That's fine. And yeah, I get it. I'll give you some good natured ribbing. I'll nudge you a little bit, and we'll have a little back and forth. And sometimes I'll get people to come on over and do it. But, yeah, for the most part, I really do enjoy the tastings. I really do enjoy interacting with the people because I get firsthand responses of how people interact with it and how people like it, and I get to talk about the brand. I get to talk about my experience. I get to talk about their stuff, what's going on there. It's fun. It's a really good time to interact with people. I thoroughly enjoy it. Where are we at on time? It's 12:15. I'm still less than 30 minutes. I'm catching up. All right, let's keep going. But yeah, like I said, I really do have a good time doing tastings. They're fun. I really do. I get to meet the store owner or the store managers. I get to meet the employees. I get to meet the owners when it's a mom and pop shop. I have a lot of good times when I'm out there doing it. Anyway, just trash getting forced down people's stores. And there is a lot of garbage that gets tasted out there. There's a whole lot of just run-of-the-mill, celebrity-endorsed, celebrity-named whiskeys and crap like that. And they're like, would you like to try, I don't know, Justin Aldean? He's a guy, right? Would you like to try Justin Aldean's whiskey? It's made with blah, blah, blah. It's like, whatever. It tastes like trash. But as Justin Aldean is a guy, right? That's a person. Well, we'll just say it's a person. You know who that. You know what I'm talking about. Yeah, I don't doubt that you don't get much craft samples these days. Most of the stuff where you are, you're in Kentucky, if I'm not mistaken, which means most of the stuff is factory Kentucky stuff. But I look forward to cracking that market when it comes time to crack it. We were gearing up to crack several other states with at least a few cases to go through the Total Wine outlets, but then we got a big order here in Texas, and it limited my ability to go to other states. But I'm working on it for next year. The timeline moved from late summer 2022 to early summer 2023. So we'll see. Quite a few that got caught in the housing crash, but were trying to flip houses to get rich quick. Yeah. There was a time when that was literally flipping houses was the process to getting rich quick. And now it's something like a third of the houses in Texas are owned by hedge funds and corporations. But it is not the way to go to get rich quick anymore. It's the way to go to get rich slowly if you have the means to do so. But this is great. All that discussion of balance sheets a moment ago, right? Yeah, this guy that I was talking about was not at all. Yeah, he got his business management degree from Shark Tank. He doesn't know what the fuck he was talking about. I learned I know to ask about unit cost from Shark Tank. Like, fuck you, man. Go away. Go away. Anyway, unlike most STEM classes that have quite the overhead, a lot of degrees where people end up underwater don't need tons. Yeah. Big lecture halls, not a lot of equipment. They just kind of run you through. True story. True story. There's a reason that Harvard and the Ivies don't have undergrad business classes, because they don't see value in undergrad business classes. They do have master's degrees for business, but not in the undergrad world. And private student loans had a model for how likely you were to repay. Business degrees were seen as a premium. Really? Business degrees were seen as a premium. Well, I guess so, because then you get your business degree, you were well trained to be an employee and have a job, and possibly go into middle and upper management. So you get the better paying jobs in general. But yeah, I get that. But in most schools, when you as a student, you'd get it's the difference between a $35,000 job and a $40,000 job. So that's a 30% pay increase right there. But for the most part, most schools, like, business degrees were just money makers for them. They would plow kids in and plow kids into the business program and send them out with degrees in how to use Excel. That was it. Not a whole lot to it. Flavored coffee. Flavored coffee. I don't mean like flavored like raspberry flavored. I mean like, coffee flavored coffee. Like flavored flavored coffees. Like, mocha, caramel, whatever. Pumpkin spice lattes. I don't think I've ever actually had a pumpkin spice latte. I don't think I like it. Preceded by Jack Daniels. Exactly. That's exactly the shit that I'm talking about. They're like, I don't think I like that. I'm a Crown guy. I'm an Evan Williams guy. I'm a Jack guy. Like, so you don't like good whiskey? That's fine. I get that. I mean, I've done this so many times. I've seen hundreds and hundreds, probably thousands of customers that will say one thing and do another thing. Like the dude. This is a dude. I was at the Porter store here north of Humble, this little town called Porter. One of the best stores that I ever work at when I'm doing the tastings. He said, I'll never forget this. He said, I don't like whiskey. I prefer Scotch. And I'm like, well, actually, Scotch is a whiskey. Blah. Oh, well, it's no, 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 no. I think I'll just. He finally takes a sample. He's like, yeah, no, I'll stick with my Scotch. And then he goes off and he picks up a bottle of Jack Daniels. I'm like, that's not even fucking Scotch. First off, Scotch is whiskey. Jack Daniels is whiskey. Jack Daniels is kind of a bourbon, but it's a Tennessee whiskey. You don't even know what the fuck you're talking about. You're walking out with a bottle of Jack Daniels, and you say you like Scotch, and you don't like my whiskey? Are you fucking kidding me? Are you fucking kidding me? Jeez, that guy, like that guy, I'll never forget that. And like, I get it. You like Jack, you drink Jack, whatever. You're gonna leave with a bottle of Coke and a bottle of Jack, and you're gonna say you like Jack. You don't like Jack. Nobody likes Jack. They drink Jack and Coke, or Crown and Coke, or Crown and soda, or whatever. Can't tell you how many times it's been somebody like, I prefer Crown. Like, what do you drink it with? They're like, Crown and soda, Crown and Coke, Crown and Dr. Pepper, whatever. Like, yeah, you don't like Crown. You like Dr. Pepper with your Crown. That's what you drink, right? Yeah, anyway. But yeah, that guy, I'll never forget that guy. And he was all proud of himself, too. He's like, yeah, this is the one that I like. Like, that's not a flex, homeboy. You're just basically flying your dumbass flag. I mean, I appreciate it. Proud of you. Whatever. Enjoy what you like. Like, I don't want to kink shame. Like, if you like being tied up in nylon ropes and a ball gag affixed in your mouth, and you being slapped with yesterday's newspaper and called a naughty boy, that's fine. You be you. Do what you like to do. That's fine. That's what you like. That's fine. You want to drink Jack? Drink Jack. You want to drink Crown? Drink Crown. I'm not going to tell you not to do whatever makes you happy. Be a happy person. Live your life. Bring joy into your life, no matter which way you find the joy. I am going to invite you, however, I am going to say, look, here's something that might bring some more joy into your life. Maybe try a puppy, maybe a kitten, maybe some chinchillas. Maybe think about a chinchilla. There's some rabbits you can get. There's a kitty cat, there's a rabbit, some guinea pigs. You can get a goldfish. These are ways you could bring fresh joy into your life. You may have never considered these things before, but maybe a goldfish. Maybe a goldfish? Maybe. Okay, fine. No goldfish? Maybe try some. Oh, you don't like rye? That's fair. I didn't like rye either before I found out that rye could taste good. Try this one. Just try it. If you don't like it, fine. Spit it out, throw it in the trash, tell me it tastes like shit, and walk away. That's fine. That's great. What I don't need to hear about is what you did in college and how you wrecked your car and you do blah, 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 blah. I don't need your fucking life story. I'm not here to listen to you. I'm here to sell whiskey. But by all means, if you like it, try it. Try it. If you like it, buy a bottle. If you don't want to buy a bottle, that's fine. It'll be here when you come back. But at the very least, just maybe a little bit be open to the possibility that just the possibility that when you're driving down that freeway to your destination where you know you're going to get to one way or the other, that maybe, just maybe, at the next exit ramp, there might be a museum that you might have a fun time going to visit. Maybe, just maybe. Open yourself up to the possibility. Just open yourself up to the possibility that even if you don't stay at the museum, you just stop in and you look around. It might be, you could at least go back to your family and say, you know what? I poked my head into this shop. It was a museum. It had some stuff I'd never seen before. I wasn't particularly interested in the stuff that I saw, so I left, but it was something that we had never seen before. Maybe I'll come back and try it another day. Maybe I won't. But at the very least, it's a thing that I did. And I could at least chalk up that thing to an experience, put it in my file of experiences, and say I've lived life a little bit fuller than I had before today. That's all. That's all. At the very least. And then, then you just jump back in your car. That's the same car you've owned for 27 years. And it's the exact same model car that you replaced it with. You had a Crown Vic and you bought a new Crown Vic. And you're going to buy a new Crown Vic the next car you get. And that's fine. That's perfectly fine. You know Crown Vics. You love Crown Vics. You buy Crown Vics. That's all you own. But just be open to the suggestion that when you pop into the Ford dealership the next time in another 15 years to get your next Crown Victoria, that, maybe the salesman might have a new car for you to try. And you can drive it around. You might not like it. That's fine. But you could at least drive it around and say, you know what? I drove a different car for a change. It was neat. It was interesting, but it wasn't for me. And I bought another Crown Vic that was the same color as the Crown Vic I traded in. That was the same color as the Crown Vic that I traded in before that. That was the same color as the Crown Vic I traded in before that. Ever since I was a 16-year-old boy. I'm a 72-year-old man now. Ever since I was a 16-year-old boy, I've driven Crown Vics. I've had a white one. I've had another white one. I've had another white one. And now I have another white one. And they're all white, but they have different trim. One had red interior, one had blue interior, one had black interior, and this one, it has the blue interior because I went back to something I knew because I felt comfortable in the blue. The blue gave me mellow feels. But just one time. Maybe just one time. Pop your big fat ass into that Ford Explorer and see what it feels like. Oh, yeah. Grab that wheel. This is kind of sporty. For, an SUV. I mean, you can't land an aircraft on the hood like you can with a Crown Vic, but you can carry a small refrigerator in the back. Yeah, you can carry a small refrigerator in the back of a Crown Vic. You can carry 2 small refrigerators in the back of an Explorer. So there's that. There's always that. There's always something behind door number 2. Might always be worth an effort to maybe look through the keyhole at least. I'm just saying. That's all. That's all I'm saying. That's why I go out and do the tastings, to give the people the opportunity to pop off at the next exit and poke their head in the museum and see if they can maybe see a shrunken head or two. They won't all do it, but my job is to encourage people to take that exit. Just see what happens. Just see what happens. Just, take off your hat, let your hair down, and Let the Lord Almighty steer you into the next place to be. You never know what'll happen. With a name like Top Shelf Dustin, I don't think you would drink Evan Williams. No, I don't. Corey Slater's in the house. Cheers, Corey. How far back behind am I on chat? Oh, shit, I'm back to 19 minutes behind. Corey, you get your name added to the Wheel of Doom and Glory. Cheers, my friend. Welcome to the party. How drunk people are when they come into Total Wines after church. Our Total Wines aren't open after church here in well, no, I take that back. They're open on Wednesday nights. We don't have our Total Wines aren't open on Sundays. Let's put it that way. Bottom bond of my house of bourbon, Washington State. Yeah. How far down do I need to go to catch up? Chat is way behind. Holy shit, chat. My chat box is way behind, rather. There I am. I had 300 less of those. I broke 800. I didn't. What? 100 bottles of whiskey at cheap value. Gotcha. Nobody randomly goes. Wait, what? Well, nobody just randomly goes to drunk guy punches. Yeah, that's a story for another day. I have to tell you about this story about my buddy Ray who punched a fucking horse. Ray was a fucking idiot, but yeah, he punched a horse. That is a whole story. It was downtown. He punched a horse. Excuse me. All right. Ray fucking punched a horse. And there was Ray punched the horse, and fucking Charlie picked up Ray and ran. It was just like it was the dumbest night. Oh my god, it was the dumbest night. Anyway, but that's for another night. That's not for tonight. I'm not going to tell that story tonight. I'm going to tell that story a different time. Man, we're starting at 55,000 paid these days. Oh yeah, no doubt. When you go through but accounting degrees are not business degrees. Accounting degrees are accounting degrees. They're a specialist degree in the business school. Just like I mean, the accounting department is is a separate department inside, just like corporate finance or information sciences or entrepreneurship or whatever. They're a specific degree, and they're not a general business degree. They're a specialized business degree, and those guys can bank. You get your accounting degree. You're basically trained to be an auditor when you come out of school, and that is a great way to bank coming out of school. If you're into accounting, if that's the kind of thing you can do. This one lady, oh my god, this one lady, she was like, I don't like whiskey, I drink bourbon. Like, bourbon is whiskey. You should try my rye. I mean, rye is a different brand. It's a different style than bourbon, but there's rye in bourbon. I mean, you will be pleasantly surprised, especially if you think it tastes like a rye. Yeah, I could not get her to try anything. She went off. She did. She went and bought a bottle of Evan fucking Williams. Yeah, it happens. The report decided to bottle kill some crappy single barrel picked Angel's Envy. I think I still have a bottle of Angel's Envy down here. Here? No, here? Yeah, this is probably the oldest bottle of whiskey that I have in my house. I have this much. Oop, there it is. This much Angel's Envy left. This is probably the oldest bottle of whiskey I have. I think I got it on my birthday last year, which makes it the oldest bits of bourbon that I have in the house. Because I usually don't keep whiskey longer than a few weeks. I buy it, I drink it, and it goes poof. Um, uh, yeah, I don't generally fuck around. I mean, you can't see it, but down here I've got a bunch of empty bottles, like empty bottle, empty bottle. I have I'll save empty bottles. I have some of my empty bottles that need to be thrown away. But yeah, I don't normally, I don't fuck around with half bottles. I buy it, I drink it, but I mean, I've got a few over here. I've got my Oishi and I've got my Eagle Rare. If I have bottles of stuff that are not gone, it's usually because I don't like it. And this is gin. This is Bombay. This is gin. I don't like it. Uh, and I think that bottle was gifted to me by somebody. I think I picked it up from an event, gifted from an event, and that is why I still have some. I don't think I've ever paid money for gin. Certainly not that. Um, anyway, um, born and raised Kentucky. Fun with Fiber Arts is join the chat. Fun with Fiber Arts goes on the wheel. I haven't mentioned the wheel in a few minutes. Fun with Fiber Arts. Your name has been added to the Wheel of Doom and Glory. The Wheel of Doom and Glory is the wheel which we will spin in just a couple of short weeks to win this box. This box is in the process of being transferred to the distillery where it will be sanded down and painted. And inside that box, we will have these right here. Can you see those? Yeah, these right here. Our Straight Whiskey Special Reserve Double Oak Rye and Boomtown Bourbon, a sample bottle of our Boomtown Bourbon. The Boomtown Bourbon being the whiskey that launched the ships. This is the reason we have our distillery. Traditional tri-grain Kentucky-style whiskey made with a little bit of Texas flair. Heavy weighted on the corn and aged in small barrels, small batches at a time. And we will also throw in a cigar from a nationally known tobacconist. So your name is on that list. And also, if we have 750 subscribers by the time I close the show out, I will dye my beard blue. I don't know if I will actually get that many people. I think I need, 4 people to join the party between now and then. Are we there? We're at 7:48. I need 2 people to join the party. Where's the spinning logo graphic subs giveaway counter? That's the one I'm looking for. Refresh it. 7:46. We're at 7:46. Good. So we only need 4. We need 4. And if we don't get 4, I'm not upset with that because I will not have to dye my beard blue. Sounds kind of like a messy, sticky, icky yuckiness if dyeing your beard blue. Color. Okay, so what else we got? Is Fun with Fiber Arts Christina? Well, welcome to the party, Christina. Cheers. Put an X on it. That'll make it. Okay. Try out their new SUV. All right, so let's. I'm trying to remember what rant it was that y'all are commenting, like what time in history these comments are associated with. They're only 10 minutes ago. So this was the buying the same car you've owned ever since forever. I get that. Assume you get your start in whiskey. My autocorrect is RHISKY or RH because I would always misspell it between the W. Let's see, what was it? WHIS. Oh, WHISKY R-Y. That's what it was. The E and the R, I would always hit the R instead of the E. So my whiskey was always WHISKRY. So my autocorrect has to fix that. Anyway, there we go. First whiskey pour was in the 8th grade, 20-year pappy. Interesting. Angel's Envy is pretty decent. Yeah, it's not so bad. I don't know why I haven't finished that bottle. I think I've just had stuff like, I lost it for a while. You know, it's down here underneath my desk. So I lost it in fact, I'm going to finish it tonight. I just finished that old fashioned. I'm going to finish that Angel's Envy tonight. There's definitely a drunk horse punching story. There is definitely a story. It happened in the mid to late 90s, like 90. It was right before I graduated. It was 97, my junior year, my first senior year. 97. I think I graduated in 98, so that would be my first senior year. Yeah, there's definitely a drunk horse punching story. But that's for, like I said, it's for a different night. Fucking Ray. He was a crazy person. Anyway, the bourbon that was my early college years, bourbon was ancient age, 10-year. Interesting. $7 and was amazing. Accounting, finance, marketing, etc. were all in the same school where oh yeah, they're all business schools. They're all business classes. Marketing, accounting, finance. They're all in the business program, but they're not business degree. Like the business degree, the generic business degree versus the specialist business degree. You know, because you can get a generalist management degree, HR degree, whatever. But having an actual marketing degree that has value and an accounting degree that has value, yeah, those are very different degrees than just getting a general business degree. You don't drink whiskey. What makes a good whiskey? Do I have a favorite cocktail with whiskey in it? That's a great question. Glad you asked, Fun with Fiber Arts. What makes a good whiskey? What makes a good whiskey? I would think that the best way to answer that is it depends on what you like, because good is a very subjective term. Good can be a single malt Scotch. Good can be a blended Scotch. There's a lot of people that like blended Scotches that don't like single malt Scotches, and the people that like single malt Scotches for the exact same reason that people don't like single malt Scotches. So people who would say that a single malt Scotch is good for reason X, you know, it has this unique flavor that's bold and strong and related to where it came from. The people who don't like single malt Scotches will say the exact same thing as to why it's bad. It has too much of a bold flavor. It's too smoky, too bold, too strong. You know, the blended Scotch has just a much more mild, more stable, more approachable flavor to the whiskey. Same way with bourbons. Same way with same with rye, same with corn whiskeys, same way with Irish, same way with Canadian. They'll say, you know, for the same reason that people will say they like it, other people will say they hate it, and it's the exact same reason given. I did not like rye whiskeys because of the strong forward flavor of the rye, the grassy, spicy, dry, peppery type of flavor that you get from a rye. I didn't like that in most of the ryes that I would drink, because most of the ryes that I would drink would be short aged, lightly aged, short time in the barrel, and very aggressively flavored with the rye grain. The ones that I like, um, excuse me a second, I gotta have a drink of water. The rye whiskeys that I liked were longer aged and had more flavor from the barrel and balanced out that heavy rye grain flavor with strong barrel notes, so it balanced it out. And I didn't know that that's the types of ryes that I liked until I did the research to seek out and find ryes that I personally liked with my personal flavor palette. So, um, for what makes a good bourbon or what makes a good whiskey is a very subjective thing. Like, there's going to be people that really, 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 really like the lightly aged, aggressively flavored rye whiskeys. There's going to be people that like the lightly aged, aggressively flavored bourbons that are 50% corn but still heavily weighted on the bourbon. There's going to be people that just absolutely don't like that. That those whiskeys are too sweet and they're too much rye, but they're not enough sweet and not enough rye. It's like, it's just not a good balance. For my personal flavor, my personal palate, I'm looking for whiskeys that are well balanced. So when it comes to my bourbon, when I make my Boomtown bourbon, I want less rye, more corn, and a good strong relationship with the barrel, but not too long. Because it's aged here in America, it's not aged in Scotland. I want it to be somewhere in the 5 to 7 year range. I don't want it to be 4 years like Jim Beam. I don't want it to be 3 years or 2 years. Maker's Mark, I have a very good relationship with Maker's Mark because of their winter wheat that they use in their grain bill. I like Woodford Reserve because they have a little bit more time in the barrel, and it has but not too much time in the barrel. It has a nice balance with the barrel. I like I haven't had a whole lot of others. Breckenridge. I like Breckenridge a lot. I like Balcones Brimstone. I like Balcones Brimstone because it's a heavy corn whiskey. It's a corn whiskey that has smoked corn and has a lot of strong flavor. It tastes like a scotch. I like a lot of scotches that have a lot of that strong aromatic flavor to it, but not from the grains, from the barrels and the smoke and the peat and all the other stuff that they do with the grains. This Oishi whiskey that I have back here, that's a rice whiskey. I like this a lot. It tastes a lot like a scotch. Um, it's damn it. But that's, I'm looking for either a well balanced complement of flavors or one really strong flavor that's going to come through. Those are the two things that I'm looking for, and it depends on my mood. It depends on what I'm looking for. And God, when it comes to cocktails that come with the whiskey, I like old fashions. I like whiskey sours. I like um, lemon juleps. Um, but I don't really drink a lot of cocktails. Soda, ginger ale and lemon. I like that. Um, but yeah, I don't drink a lot of cocktails. But yeah, that's a great question, and it's really tough to answer that question succinctly. Generally, I turn that question back on the person asking and say, the thing that makes a good whiskey is the way that you define a good whiskey. It's whatever you like. Um, because I don't like my personal palate. Me personally, I don't like a lot of the factory Kentucky stuff. That always turned me off. It wasn't until I had some of the smaller batch craft stuff that really turned me on. Like I said before, Woodford and Makers and Breckenridge, and those are kind of the brands that I kind of go to when I don't have my stuff. Um, but it's really subjective. If you like Evan Williams, then what makes a good whiskey is Evan Williams. If you like Crown, then what makes a good whiskey is Crown. What they do. I mean, it's very subjective to your palate. For my personal palate, I'm looking for something that tastes interesting, that's easy to drink by itself, that is that doesn't have a strong aftertaste, that doesn't give me that whiskey face when you drink it, that doesn't have that reverberation after you consume it. Yeah, that's kind of what I'm looking for when I'm looking for something. And I'll buy random bottles and try them. I have no problem with that. But it's really hard to put my finger on it because the taste is so subjective. And even when people come up when I'm doing a tasting, they say, "So what's it taste like?" I just pour them a sample and give it to them and say, "You tell me what it tastes like." That's I want to know what you taste, because I've had people tell me they taste vanilla. What's really funny is when they drink my straight whiskey, the Purple Label, and they tell me that they can really taste the smokiness. This is aged in a used bourbon barrel. There's no smokiness. There's no smokiness in this at all. It's a used bourbon barrel. There's no smokiness, but they taste the smoky. Like, I'll take it. Yeah, sure. Whatever you taste. You taste vanilla. You taste the sweet. You taste the sour. I've had people tell me they taste cherry, vanilla, banana, honey, um, all kinds of stuff. The taste is very subjective. They tell me they taste banana. I'm like, all right, that's cool. What else you got? there's no banana added to my double oak rye. It's just oak and rye. That's it. But if that's what you taste, that's what you taste. I mean, I'm as fascinated to find out what people taste as I am to to explore it myself and find out what I taste. Their reactions just entertain me thoroughly, uh, to no end. But anyway, carrying on. That's a great question. Thank you. Fun with Fiber Arts. That is the absolute best question. I love it. um, that's just the unintentionally comedic show every Friday night. Okay. What? Oh, yeah. The Bacon Show. Gotcha. If I look up, I'll see more information. Um, 2222 7. I don't get why you don't. I had for a very brief moment, Wednesday, Sunday, for a very brief moment Sunday, I had 751. Then it dropped back down to 740. I had a short pop off for something like 35,000 views, and then dropped back down to 26,000. And for a very brief moment, I had 751, then dropped back down to 740. I added something like 20 subscribers that day. That was fucking hilarious. Anyway, scrolling. Are we caught up? No, we're not caught up. Are we there? Are we at 750? What? All right, I saw that in chat. I'm going to come back down to it in just a second. No longer made 10 years. That is less. I only have 2 subs. It's not the size of your sub count that matters. It's what you do with them. That's what matters. Dating profiles on POF. Youngest brother. Angel's Envy. I have a single barrel pick. It's about $100 bottle. Very different than that. Oh, okay. Well, cool. I know Total Wine has some barrel pick Angel Envy stuff, but it's fine. It's a good drink. That's all it is. It's good. I don't have any problem with it. It's fine. Funny that this topic got brought back up on POF now, because as I was answering, wait, I'm on POF. What is POF? Point of What is POF? Because I was answering a message from a very boring chick. Old-fashioned making chick. Let's screenshot the next one. What is POF? I need to know more about this. Person of... people on fire? No, that can't possibly be right. Not liking other than red wine with Southern Comfort. I've never had Southern Comfort by itself. I'm pretty sure I've had Southern Comfort in a cocktail, but never by itself. Basically, is a cordial. Yeah. All right. Dustin, you say we're at 750 now. Let's look at the counter. What does it say? Oh, there it is. I'll be damned. I guess I'll be dyeing my hair, my beard blue. I'll be dyeing my beard blue. So next time, it probably won't be Friday. It'll probably be next week. Probably. But that's, yeah, we'll be dyeing my beard blue. That's, all right, y'all gone and done it. You're going to have to take it up with my wife at this point. I had said if we hit 750 by the end of July, but I got frustrated and decided to do it for today too. Quit dicking around with the sub count, YouTube. Addie Picall has joined the party. Cheers, Addie. Your name has been added to the wheel of doom and glory. Yet again, we can have as many times. Your name can be on as many times as you can. And this is, well, I take that back. There's going to be one more chance to get your name on the wheel before we do the drawing in mid-September. She almost didn't date him because she thought the brother was a Trumper. First date was on election night 2020, and they're still together. Bye, Corey. Thank you for joining the party. Thanks for entertaining us. Thanks for being around. I appreciate it, my man. I'm not sure exactly where you are in Texas, but Texas climate can add some smoke. Texas climate can add some heat, without question. The barrels. I mean, when you're talking about the aging time in Texas versus the aging time, like there's 4 different climate zones in the state of Texas. There's at least 4. There's the Gulf Coast, Central Hills, North Texas, and the High Plains. And there's a West Texas aging zone, but I don't think we have any distilleries out in West Texas. That's basically, if you draw a line west of Lubbock, down from Lubbock through San Antonio, it's like the whole state west of Lubbock and San Antonio. That's kind of the western space. That's Midland, Odessa, Fort Stockton, El Paso, all that shit to the west, where nobody lives. The part of the state that has 4 counties and they're all red, and like 800 people live in the fucking place, except El Paso. That's like the little blue dot off there on the west side of the state. But basically, you break it up into that part: El Paso, Lubbock, Amarillo, Abilene in the north, or that'd be the High Plains area, and then the Dallas, Fort Worth Metroplex, and up across Longview and up to Texarkana. Like that'd be the northern part of the state. And then the Central Plains would be like Waco down to Austin and the San Antonio, that little group. And then the Gulf Coast would be Houston, Corpus Christi, kind of that area down there. So there's, the different aging zones in the state of Texas. But if you think about the climate in Texas versus the climate in like Scotland, Scotland is as far north, Texas, Houston is the same latitude as, or longitude, the same latitude as Algeria. We are North Africa, basically. and you go further north in Texas, you go 500 miles north, Dallas, Lubbock, Amarillo, those guys are the same latitude as basically northern Italy, basically southern France, northern Italy. So when you go to places like Scotland, you're talking about north of New York. It's up there. So our time in the barrel over the course of a 12-month period is something like 9 or 10 months, versus Scotland's time in the barrel over a 12-month period is between 4 and 6. You know, so maybe close to 7. Maybe closer to 5 to 7, but it's between 4 and 6, 5 to 7 months out of a 12-month period. So, 5 years in Texas is not the same as 5 years in Scotland. 5 years in Texas is not the same as 5 years in Kentucky. 5 years in Kentucky is not the same as 5 years in Scotland. But that's why you can have 25-year-old Scotch, and it's a little bit harder to have 25-year-old bourbon. It's just not, it's not the same aging time. And you can get a whole lot richer, heavier, stronger barrel flavor in the same amount of time in the state of Texas than in Kentucky, and in Kentucky than in Scotland. But it's not that it's better or worse. It's just that it's different. It's a different age gauge than anywhere else. But I'm not going to get a lot of smoke out of the barrel for my straight whiskey. It's a used barrel. There's no smoke coming in from the barrel. There's no charred wood coming into the whiskey from the barrel, because it's used, and a lot of that char has been pulled off. Anyway, sometimes getting some tasting notes ahead of. Yeah, and see, I get that as a consumer, you might want some tasting notes, but as a supplier, I do not want to influence what it is that you're about to drink. I do want to influence it. I do my part to prime you that it's delicious, it tastes good, you're gonna like it. But I also warn you ahead of time when you're taking the drink that it's a full-bodied rye, 95% rye, 90 proof. I warn you on the things that you need to be warned about, but I'm not going to tell you what it tastes like. I want to find out what you taste. I don't want to influence your subjective flavor profile. Because if I tell you what it tastes like, you're going to look for that thing that I tell you that it tastes like. And if you don't find it, you might be disappointed, and that's fine. I'd rather you not be disappointed. I'd rather you be pleasantly surprised that you found cherries in my whiskey, or whatever nonsense flavors you've had. That actually looks like a double shot. Not quite. A little bit more than a single. Yeah, I got one more drink coming out of this one. It feels like a light pour. I probably shorted it just a little bit. Anyway. If anyone say they can taste the ashes of my problem customers in my whiskey. No, nobody says they can taste the ashes of my problem customers. Oh yeah, absolutely. Addie, you are 100% correct. The barrels of the liquor age can give off plenty of taste. The barrels give about 60% of the flavor and 100% of the color. That is what the barrels do. The barrels flavor the whiskey. The barrels give them the color. The barrels do a lot of work. An absolute lot of work. POF is plenty of fish. Thank you. But yes, Addie, the barrels, it's not just your opinion. It is a fact. Barrels give liquor all of their color and a lot of their flavor. That is true. Are the whiskeys I produce blended? No. Whiskeys that I produce are not blended. So the definition of a blended whiskey is when you take barrels of whiskey from different distilleries, bring them together and blend them into or it's either different styles from the same distillery or different whiskeys from different distilleries. So, like a blended scotch, for example, will oftentimes have single malt scotches from 2 dozen or more distilleries throughout Scotland. And some of those distilleries don't sell a single malt scotch at all. Some of those distilleries simply produce whiskey and send it to a blender. But distilleries like Ardbeg, Highland, Ardbeg, Highland Park, Glen Lomond, Glen Glen Lock something, I can't remember. But a lot of those guys will sell a single malt scotch, but they also take a portion of what they make and send it off to the blender like JMB or Chivas or Johnny Walker. Like we know the blends, we're familiar with them, we know who they are, we just don't think of them. But then there are some that you've never heard of that produce whiskey, and they send it specifically over to those guys for blending. We don't do that. Most of the distilleries in the United States don't do blends. There are a few that have, like High West. They've done a blend. They for the longest time, that's what they did. Yellow Rose does a blended whiskey where they buy whiskeys from different distilleries and blend them together. All the whiskeys that we've done have either been made in-house or come from a single still that we've contracted with to produce our whiskey. So, like our bourbon is made right across town here in the city of Houston. It was produced, we sent the distillery our recipe and asked them to make it for us. They whipped us out a batch that in a day that it would have taken us about a month to put together, at least a month to put together, and probably 2 runs of our stills. I did that with another batch of our bourbon. There was another distillery here in Humble, and we did the run over at their shop. I took the tote of whiskey and brought it back to my shop and aged it and distilled it and did all this, or distilled it, aged it, and did all this stuff here. So, but no, yeah, to answer that question, no, we do not do blends at the Old Humble Distilling Company. Not yet, at least. Not ruling it out in the future. We just haven't done it to date. Plenty of fish. Blushing. How are you all in chat? What else we got? Texas is a very big state. Yes. Texas is a very big state. And if you ask certain people in Texas, they'll tell you it's the largest state in the world. It's not, but, that's fine. There's a bottle of, usually I get, in Total Wines the last couple of weeks, I've been set up in the part of the whiskey aisle that has the scotches and single malt whiskey from around the world. And Amroot is always on the shelf, and I've gotten very curious about that, but I have not yet pulled the trigger on a bottle. The earthy can give off profiles. That's fair. That is fair. That is fair. And yeah, I get that. I get it. But people pick up smoke, and that's probably where they get it from. And yeah, I get it. But yeah, it's definitely not. It's not what I would call smoke either. I would think when I think of smoke, I think of the peaty, smoked, malted barleys that you get from places in Scotland that do the heavily smoked bog whiskeys. When they picked barrels and made something. You want to hear what the distiller was looking for when they picked the barrels? Oh yeah, that's fair. That's fair. I get that. Best way to find out is taste testing. Now I want to know what happens if you... where'd you go? I want to know what happens if you add liquid smoke to a barrel of whiskey. There is a very popular whiskey hack that you take brandy, liquid smoke, and there was something else. And you mix them together. The little 1 gallon barrel things. You take the brandy liquid smoke, the 1 gallon barrel. You put your whiskey, just like a cup of brandy, not a lot, just a little bit of brandy, and the dosing of liquid smoke in there. You let it blend in the barrel for a week or so, and then you dump it back out, and you have a better aged whiskey. Blah 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 blah. But man, if you got money to throw around for a fucking barrel, you got money to throw around for a fucking bottle of brandy. You may have liquid smoke laying around, but if you got money to throw around to get, just spend an extra 15 goddamn dollars and buy a better fucking bottle of whiskey. You don't have to buy $8 bottles of whiskey and $200 worth of shit to put in it. Buy a better bottle of whiskey. That's it. But yeah, liquid smoke will add aged flavor to your whiskey. So there you go. What else? Yeah, blending is absolutely getting huge. It helps to stabilize the flavors of some whiskey. I kind of go both ways when it comes to blending. I like the idea of stabilizing the flavor, making things a little bit more approachable, a little bit less aggressive in the flavoring profile. But on the other hand, it makes it a little bit less aggressive, a little bit more muted, a little bit less just less interesting. You know, it's yeah. I mean, you can take a lot of cheap whiskey, blend it with some good whiskey, and make good whiskey out of it. But for me, at least, well, and I'm speaking off of scotches more than I am about American whiskeys because American whiskeys aren't typically blended. But I find blended scotch to just have less personality than the single malts. I find the single malts to have just a much broader flavor expression, a much more interesting flavor expression. A lot of them are very aggressively flavored when it comes to the grains and smoke and peat and all that shit. But it's just the blends just kind of take all that out, and I don't. They don't excite me. They don't excite me in the same way. But a lot of the American blends, on the other hand, rather than blending together similar flavors, they do things like Scotch, bourbon, rye, and they blend together percentages of those in order to get uh, an approximation of a grain bill that they otherwise would have made. So you're talking about a single malt barley, a corn whiskey, a rye whiskey, in the combinations of something like 60% corn, 30% rye, 10% malted barley, and they blend that together, and that's the equivalent approximation of a 60%, 30%, 10% grain bill. So that's kind of what American companies tend to do, as opposed to blending together 3 different types of bourbon. They blend together 3 or 4 different styles of whiskey, which is very different than what Scotch distilleries do, Scotch blenders do, when they're blending together 25, 35, 40 different Scotches. And here in America, we're trying to bring out different flavors. There in Scotland, they're just kind of trying to fuse these flavors together into a more stable, more smooth and approachable whiskey. But it's 2 entirely different philosophies when it comes to blending, and it really is fascinating to see the outcomes, for what that's worth. So, which shade of blue? I don't know what you're talking about. Emerald Fusion, get it? Trust me, it's something special. I will look into that. Oh, and under $100, that's good. Have we caught up to chat? I have caught up to chat. It's the largest state. Jeff to you. Exactly, Bacon. Exactly. Um, uh, uh, well, yeah, you can't. Well, yeah, and that's what I'm talking about with when they make the, like what High West used to do. or I guess what High West still does, when they would blend together their scotches, they would use the single malt scotch and blend it with rye and add it to corn, and that would make an extremely heavy weighted, heavy flavored whiskey, even if it was 40% corn or 50% corn. That the single malt scotch and the rye would just bring so much flavor to the party, and the way they blended it, it would be a very flavor forward type of whiskey. You can absolutely make more aggressive. Generally speaking, though, when they're blending whiskeys together, they're trying to mute out the aggressiveness of the flavor. Here in the States, they go the other way. They're trying to add in flavors that weren't there to begin with and bring out new profiles. It's a it's a it's very different aging or blending philosophies here in the States versus there in Scotland. And Scotland is where you find a lot of the blended whiskeys. That's where the blends tend to come from. They just don't do it a lot here in the States. Not that they shouldn't necessarily, because you got a lot of small distilleries that can do a whole lot of really cool shit that they just can't do on a factory scale. So, um, I I'll take your word for it that American whiskey is using blending. I'm just not familiar with a lot of the blends, because most of your shelves are not blends. Most of your shelves are not blended whiskeys. There's very few. When I look at the shelves in the stores that I go to, the American whiskeys are not blends. They're all whiskeys that come from a single distillery. They may blend together different ages from that single distillery, but they're all still coming from the same distillery. But there you go. Which whiskey would I add to a Long Island iced tea? Traditionally, a Long Island iced tea is bourbon. So if I were doing Long Island iced teas, it would be my Boomtown bourbon. But I would also go with my Special Reserve. That would be the second one that I would choose, because I'd have a tough time mixing my bourbon with a cocktail. It's just like a $60 bottle of bourbon. But the or the Special Reserve rather. Where's my black bottles? My black bottle Special Reserve, this one right here. I would probably put that one in a Long Island tea. Probably, because it's 90% corn, but it's well aged, so it's got a good strong a good robust flavor to it, um, that would hold up well in a Long Island tea, if that is what you are trying to drink. Um, a garbage drink of whatever liquors put together. Maybe I'll do a Long Island tea episode in a couple of weeks. That'd be a fun one. Maybe. Um, my Big Pete 33 year, I have 21 year AD rib. All huge. And see, that's the thing. Uh, you know, AD Rattray. I don't know what AD Rattray is, but Big Pete 33 year. That that sounds an awful lot like a Scotch to me. Uh, but blending together specifically, I mean, old whiskeys, strong whiskeys, flavorful whiskeys. Uh, that's what they can do. Uh, most of your blended scotches are not that. Most of your blended scotches are uh, broader, more stable, approachable drinks. Most of your scotches, and I think that is a very different. It's a very different philosophy here in the States versus there. But that's not to say all of them. Most and all are not the same words. They're different words, and they have different meanings, and that is by design and on purpose. Um, anyway, distilleries are not the same. Exactly. If distilleries are not the same, it's a blend. When MGP makes their Remus Reserve, it's their 21 and 35% rye. Oh, I see what you're saying. I see what you're saying. So, you're saying that MGP makes the Uh, if MGP is making a blend, then it's a blend. Yeah, that's fair. That's fair. They just don't. They just don't admit it. I see what you're saying. Um. uh, try Compass Box. I've never heard of Compass Box, but I'm gonna write it down and see what that's all about. Um, speaking of boxes, one of these days I'm going to go off on fucking bespoke boxes of shit. That was a big deal before the pandemic. People getting bespoke boxes of their uh, clothes, bespoke boxes of curated camping gear, bespoke boxes of comic books and action figures and blah blah. Like bespoke boxes of dog toys, bespoke boxes. That whole fucking bespoke box industry prior to the pandemic was just insane. It's collapsed since then, but man, we'll send you a box of clothes. Try them on. If you like them, tell us your measurements, and we'll send you. We'll update. We'll tailor it to your sizes and send you a fresh pair of jeans and a jacket for only $600. Like Jesus Christ, are you kidding me? There's no obligation when we send it to you. How do I not know Compass Box? I don't know. I don't shop for shit. I don't. I don't know. I don't know why you people think that I go out and do stuff on a regular basis. Although no, I take that back. I do know what Compass Box is. I saw it on the shelf at Total Wine this week. I'm familiar with Compass Box. I know what Compass Box is. But no, for real, I don't go out and do things. I don't go out. I don't go out and do things. I do have a. There's nobody in Houston in chat. I have a comedy show I'm going to on Friday, but I don't go out and do shit. I don't. I don't. I don't do stuff. Um, I don't do stuff. I don't shop for stuff. Um, yeah, I remember the boxes that I saw. There were or the bottles that I saw. There were I think 4 different brands on the shelf that were Compass Box. They were really good looking bottles too. They had really good labels. Really attractive labels. I'm seeing them in my head right now of what they were. They were right here on my left. Uh, it's alphabetical at Total Wine, so it was right there in the first bin. But yeah, I am familiar. I am familiar with the bottle. I'm familiar with the brand. Uh, yeah, I remember it now. Discount for 6 bottles. It's once not disappointed. See, yeah, see. So John is an American who went and worked for Johnny Walker and started his own blend. Ah, I see what you're saying. But yeah, I mean these fucking the science boxes. It's just like we're gonna put a bunch of shit in a box and send it to you. And if you like what we send you, it's gonna cost you $300. If you don't like what we send you, just send it back to us, and it's fine. And then we'll send it to some other schmuck. That was a big deal before the pandemic. But all that just kind of died during the pandemic, right after the pandemic. It seems like that would be the type of thing that would be a big deal during the pandemic because you don't have to go out and do stuff. They just send you the crap to your door. But never heard of Why Do You Wash the Line? Ah, yeah. Maybe I'll grab a bottle of it. If it's so damn good, maybe I'll grab a bottle of it next time I'm in a Total Wine. I'm not going to be at Total Wine for the rest of this month, for the rest of September, but I'll be back in October. Maybe I'll grab a bottle while I'm there. Maybe if it's so good, we'll find out about it. Maybe we should do an episode where we explore the world of Scotch. Where Old Humble goes to Scotland. Um, hmm. Maybe that would be a fun. Old Humble goes to Scotland, and then we explore the 4 different regions of Scotch making, Scotch regions of Scotland with some examples of Scotch. Maybe, maybe. Maybe, maybe not. We'll see. One of these days. Um, see, Top Shelf. I don't hang out with the whiskey tube people. I'm not. I'm not. I mean, I'm kind of tangentially connected to the whiskey tube. I don't know. You know, I watching a bunch of YouTubers jizz their pants over Buffalo Trace just doesn't excite me. I'm not. There's a whole lot of whiskey tube that's just kind of the same goddamn thing. Um, Bad Axe Bourbon, those guys, uh, that guy, he does some interesting stuff. He's not looking at the same old whiskeys again and again and again and again. He's not doing Willet reviews and Gentleman Jack and uh, you know Penelope and all the other Kentucky schlock. He's actually doing some interesting stuff, and I wish I could watch more of his stuff. I just don't get a chance to watch as much of it because I'm fucking doing stuff all the time. Um, but yeah, I don't the panel shows where everybody's like talking over each other and talking back and forth on whiskey tubes. It didn't really excite me as much as you might think. I mean, I know what Buffalo Trace tastes like. I know what Maker's Mark tastes like. I know what Gentleman Jack tastes like. I know what all that stuff tastes like. It tastes like Buffalo Trace and Gentleman Jack and blah 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 blah. Yeah, so a lot of the whiskey tube stuff just doesn't excite me. I'd like to. I mean, I would like to hang out with them in person. It's just, yeah. But you see the headline: Whiskey tube extradited back to Texas after flying to Scotland to try Scotch. Punches goat. the headline the headline would read, man hospitalized in Glasgow after entering a bar and loudly asking everyone in the bar, so what part of Ireland are you guys from? uh, Dustin, I beg to differ. Most of the YouTubers that I've seen are specific. That's exactly what they're reviewing. They're talking about all of the shit. They talk about other stuff too, but I've got other stuff to do. Um, I've I've had my fill of punches goat. I've had my I've had my fill of you know generic run of the mill. And I get it. Like I 100% get it. Like when I did my review of Oishi, like I even said it. Like nobody's gonna give a shit because this is hard to find. It's not in every store. It's not easy to get your hands on. Big deal. But um, you're gonna want to review the whiskey that you can get your hands on, that you can see, that you can get that's there, that's close, that's known, renowned, blah blah blah. That's what I mean, I get it. It doesn't hurt my feelings, but it's just like um, honestly, Dustin, I haven't had a chance to watch your channel much. Um, I'm 90% certain I'm subscribed. I think I subscribed to your channel. Like, don't be offended if I'm not. I'm gonna make sure I am right now, though. Um, oops, I'm subscribed. Sorry. Um, full disclosure, I was not until just a moment ago, but I am now. Um, yeah, I mean, I will check into it and find out more in time. Uh, I have them. I have you. I'm going to, let's see here. New Riff Backsetter, Hazelburn. Oh, these are different. Tomatine, Clarin, Lefroy. Best barrel proof bourbons. That looks fun. Uh, there's your Weller. Let's see, how far do I have to go to find a Weller? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 videos in to find a Weller. Cool. I'm just fucking with you. But yeah, all these. Oh, look, Jack Daniel's single barrel. But all these others like Green Spot, Chateau, Leoville, Barton, Spring Break, Kilowan. These look fun. these look like interesting flavors of whiskey to dig into. It really does. Kleinish Distillery. Oh, these do. Old Forester. That's exciting. Macallan. Yeah, these do. These look like, I mean, you're doing something different than I see on typical. Well, of course, you also have access to a whole lot more whiskey there in Kentucky, don't you? Smart play you got there. Um, I'm gonna have fun wasting an inordinate amount of time on this channel for a while. Hope you enjoy the extra 50 or so hours that I plow into your channel for the next 15 days. Because I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna plow the shit out of this channel, baby. Yeah. Um, but thanks for the tip. Thanks for pushing my hand to make sure that I'm subscribed, because I thought I had already subscribed. I legit thought I had already subscribed. But I'm going to do better to check those out. You got to do some generic crap. Oh, goodness. What time is it? Holy fucking shit, it's 1:30. Guys, I've caught up to chat. Dustin, I will be checking out several of those videos over the course of the next several days. And I do appreciate you pushing me to challenge my preconceptions. But I got to do my closing shot because I got to get up. I got to do work in the morning. I've got to go into the distillery. Check this out. I've got to go into the shop tomorrow. I've got vodka, bourbon, and rye to tee up. So with the bourbon, I've got barrels to fill. With the vodka, I've got proofing and bottles to fill. With the rye, I've got proofing and bottles, but the rye can probably wait till next week. I'm not going to start it necessarily tomorrow. I've also got labels to review. My list of things to do that I have to get done is right here. Yeah, I've got labels that I need to review and submit. I've got the bar that I built that we need to sand down and paint and polish. I've got a bunch of shit that we need to do over the next 3-4 weeks. Next week, I'm meeting with my contractors to get our bathroom built inside the shop so that I'm not going to have a porta pot for our Friday nights live and Saturday tailgating with the University of Houston football Cougars. We will not be doing Saturday watch-alongs with the University of Houston football Cougars, but we will be doing the Friday night live music. Our trivia hours are going to be retooled just a little bit going forward because we're going to end our affiliation with the pub trivia guys and have different trivia questions that we add to the mix. We may have fewer rounds. We may have the same amount of rounds. Five rounds, 9 questions. We may do 5 questions instead of 9 questions. I'm not sure exactly how we're going to do it, but we're going to do something different. And then I've got to finish my box. I've got to sand and paint and prep the box and get this ready for our giveaway that will be on September 13th is the tentative date. Mark your calendars if you haven't already done so. Mark your calendars. And then I'll be making that official announcement in the next several days. And then of course next week I'll be back on Wednesday, Thursday with Bluebeard. I will be the blue bearded whiskey guy, and we will do some stuff, and it's gonna be fun. What did I just miss? I just flipped over. Whoops, wrong button. Sorry. What was that? Night Addy, appreciate you joining us. Night it means go out and do stuff. It's boring stinging. I understand exactly what you mean. Fun with fiber arts. I I don't get to go out as much as I used to. Most of what I do when I go out is work. Like Friday night, for example, we're going to a comedy show, and that comedy show is work. Um, it's gonna be something. It does mean you have a good chance of doing well the next trivia night, Bacon. We're going to. I'm gonna. I don't know how we're gonna retool the question. We have two more weeks with pub trivia, and then I'm going to retool and see what we're gonna do. We do not have trivia night tomorrow night. Tomorrow night is my anniversary with my lovely wife. I will hopefully be eating steaks and doing something that sounds like a euphemism for dirty, nasty sex. What would it be? Putting the cream in a Twinkie? No, that's kind of gay. Doing what would we uh, be knocking boots? No, that's too explicit. We'll be hopefully when we normally have trivia on Thursday night, 9 p.m. Instead of trivia, I'll be slapping the sheets to see if there's dust in the mattress. No, that sounds like we never do anything. That's not true. We'll be oh, I know. At 9 o'clock tomorrow night, instead of doing trivia, we'll be putting on a show for Alexa. There we go. That's what we could talk about. Yeah, that's how we'll describe it. We'll be putting on a show for Alexa. The Beast with Two Backs. See, that's just too explicit. Everybody knows what the Beast with Two Backs is. But putting on a show for Alexa, see, yeah. Yeah, that's like people go, what do you mean putting on a show for Alexa? Oh, yeah, exactly. See, that's what we're going to be doing, putting on a show for Alexa. That's what I'm going to start calling, that's what I'm going to be calling the tube steak boogie from now on. A fella. It's a fellow, isn't it? All right. Well, anyway, ladies and gentlemen, brothers and sisters, children of, I'm going to pour the last of my Angel's Envy out into my glass. Am I going to do that? I'm going to save this. It's not bad. Kentucky straight bourbon whiskey finished in port wine barrels. All right. By the way, a video on the React. A video to react on. Okay. I'm going to open this in a new window. Right click new window. It's going to come up and I'm going to minimize it. 21090 is another group of guys that do good stuff. They're another. They're doing good stuff with folks that the biggest issue I have with 21090 is that they have our schedules are incompatible. I'm usually working on a Tuesday night, and I miss out on hanging out with them because of work on Tuesday nights. That's the problem I have with 21090. Just what does Humble do with his fingers? Alexa. But they also do interesting and different whiskeys that are fun to at least hear about. You know, I'm always curious about the new stuff. I like my personality. My personal personality is I like to find a dirt road and drive down the dirt road. I like to randomly take a left turn or randomly take a right turn and take the scenic route, take the not so much the path less traveled, but the path that's designed for a little bit less traffic. I like that. I really do. I don't mind going around the mountain rather than over the mountain. I don't mind going through the small town and seeing what there is to see. Hell, the first exit outside of Texas going into New Mexico from Amarillo West is a little town that has a community college that has a really good paleontology program. And it just so happens that in that town with the really cool community college and the really good paleontology program is a really cool museum that has some really awesome dinosaur shit. And you wouldn't know it unless you were just like, hey, let's turn here. What are we going to see here? It's time to. We haven't taken an exit off the freeway yet. Let's go. And you know that's kind of how we do our road trips. That's kind of how we do our stuff. It's it's not so much the path less traveled. It's just the path that's not designed for as much traffic. And let's go check it out. That's what I like to do. I like adventure. Adventure is our family battle cry. Without question. We get in the car, it's time for a road trip, and most of our trips are road trips. We pile into our minivan and we travel across the country. Um, we pile into the car, and as we're pulling out of the driveway, we go to the stop sign. We're about to take a left turn, and we make the call. Adventure, and it gets repeated throughout the car. Adventure, adventure. We're gonna go check shit out. We're gonna go do stuff. It's gonna be fun. It may be dreadful, to be completely honest. You might pick up a tick along the way. There might be ticks. There might be fleas. There might be bugs. Oh no, there's bugs. But you're gonna see something new. You're gonna see something different. You're gonna stop and take a picture next to the world's largest ball of yarn. You're gonna take a picture next to the world's biggest shovel. You're gonna do dumb shit, and it's gonna be unironically fun, and memories that will forever be um, burned into your cerebellum for the rest of your damn life. And hopefully, my kids, um, when they're doing this shit with their kids, they'll say, you know what, this is how it's done, and this is fun, and this is how we're gonna do things as grown-ups. We're not gonna fly over the stuff that's. Sorry, I dropped my pencil. We're not gonna fly over the stuff that's interesting to see. We're gonna go to the stuff that's interesting to see. Um, and we're just gonna stop and we're gonna do some dumb shit because you know what? It's fun. Dumb shit. When you fly over from Houston up to Custer City, you don't get to stop at all the caverns and national parks and national monuments and national wilderness areas. You just don't get to do that. You don't get to drive through a feedlot that's next to the freeway and you don't get to drive past the feedlot that's next to the freeway in Colorado and roll down your windows and torture your family. You just don't get to do that when you're in an airplane. They don't let you roll the windows down. So anyway, um, I no lie, I do like hanging out with people on Thursday nights for our trivia streams. I like hanging out with people. I like sharing stories. I like swapping whiskey. I want to know what you're drinking, and I want to try and drink it, and I want to share what I'm drinking with you. I want to know what the stories are. I want to know where you've been. I want to know where you're going. I want to know who you've been with. I want to know who you've met. I want to know. I want to know all the shit. I want to know the stories, and I don't want you to be hesitant or embarrassed to tell me. I want to know. Come on. Give me the stories. Let me collect up some good fucking gold. Bring it. I want to know. And I think those are the things that make us richer. Yeah, I mean, money makes us rich. But if all you've got is money and you got nothing to show for it, you don't have any experiences to come with them. What the fucking good is your money if you don't have any experiences? Right? And what good is all the money in the world if you have no experience to show for it? I think we're wealthier when we have experiences. We're wealthier when we experience life than when we just have money. I would trade riches for wealth in a heartbeat, in an absolute heartbeat. But the thing is, I feel like I've already got a lot of the wealth. You know, we've traveled, we've seen things, we've done stuff. those 2 kids that I have sleeping in their beds up there, my lovely wife in there. I mean, those are the people in my life that make me one of the wealthiest men in the world. You folks who make my live streams entertaining and engaging and give me something to talk about and people to talk to, y'all y'all make me y'all make my entire existence richer and wealthier, and I look forward to these nights. It's fun, it's entertaining, and it's as entertaining for me as it is for y'all. Or hopefully it's as entertaining for me as it is for y'all, because it's pretty fucking entertaining for me. I look forward to this stuff. Um, I mean, what good is means and riches and material possessions if they don't come with experiences? If all you have is generic paintings and you can't tell me about the artist who painted it for you, what the fuck good is that? What good? I mean, all at that point, all you have is hotel art. I mean, come on, tell me where it came from, what you did. If you have one of those stupid masks on the wall, where'd you get it? Oh, IKEA. Okay. Where'd you get it? Oh, you got it on the safari? Tell me about it. I've never been on a safari. I may never get a chance to go. Tell me, share your wealth. Tell me what you have. Give me your wealth so that I too can share in it, and then I can pass that story on to other people. And no amount of retelling a great story makes that story less valuable. In fact, quite the opposite is true. When you retell a great story, when you retell a great joke, when you replay a great song, it makes that more valuable, and it makes more people wealthy, and it makes more experiences richer and thicker, and they share it and they spread it. And wealth can be shared and repeatedly shared again and again and again and never loses value. And that's one of the best things about experiences and stories and time spent with people. You can share time with people and it becomes more valuable. If you break $1 in half, it becomes less valuable. Every time you break $100 bill down to $50, $25, $12.50, every time you break it down, it becomes less valuable, less valuable, less valuable. But you tell people that story, oh, it becomes more valuable again and again and again and again. And it doubles in value and triples in value and quadruples in value, and it grows at an exponential rate, far more than interest. Far more than interest, far more than compounding interest. The stories just make everyone's life richer and more valuable. And I can go on like this for hours, but I'm not going to, because it's time to wrap this up. It's 2 o'clock, almost 2 o'clock. And I'm going to tell you folks, once again, I appreciate you as truthfully and deeply as I can convey that. I appreciate you. Thank you for the 750 subs. Thank you for engaging with my channel. Thank you for participating in our live chats. To repay that participation and that kindness, your name goes onto the wheel of doom and fortune for a chance to win a sample of our delicious whiskeys. You could be one of the only people in the world who has the same thing. A bottle of all 4 of our whiskeys in your possession at the same time. To date, I am the only person who's had all 4 at the same time, filled bottles. So that is how I will show my appreciation. Thank you so much for joining us. Have you ever Old Humble Business? Thank you very much. Getting down to business, we'll be discussing the prospectus with potential investors. Be going over the books. We could be auditing the financial statements. There's so many great euphemisms we can make for just banging one out. I'm such a fucking 12-year-old. Jesus Christ. Ladies and gentlemen, brothers and sisters, children of all ages, thank you as always for joining me for yet another amazing, awesome Wednesday night happy hour. Again, no show tomorrow night. We will be reviewing the books and auditing the financial statements on our anniversary night. But we will be back probably Friday for maybe an afternoon. Might be there tomorrow afternoon. I might break away middle of the day. I mean, if she's going to work tomorrow, I'm going to work tomorrow. But we'll be back for a live stream between now and next Wednesday, and you can participate and enjoy and get your name on the Wheel of Doom and Fortune for a chance to win our sample bottles right there. But in the meantime, be awesome to each other. As always, think with your whole brain, love with your whole heart, and drink better whiskey, because life is too short for bad whiskey and too long to do nothing about it. Cheers, my friends. Whoops. Cheers, my friends. Boop. There you go. Have yourselves a wonderful night, a great morning, and until next time, salute. Good night. Where's the button? There it is.